We are live 93 likes before the stream even starts. I wonder why that could be. Let me make sure. See, I didn't want to do this. I wanted to be able to have this all set up and make sure audio is good before we start talking. But, yep, okay. I guess there we are. Hello, everyone. I am completely out of sorts. We got talking and, last 10 minutes, mad scramble to get everything set up. But welcome. We do this every single Thursday night, but...
I don't.
You don't.
I'm hit or miss.
We don't do this with you every single Thursday night. So this is super exciting. We do have
He's
Lisa.
giddy, he's scared.
We have Lisa in the background. You intimidate me.
I know.
What can I say? I've been scared all day. My heart's been pumping. Lisa with the sign in the background is saying hello to everyone. So there we go. And Rack texting me during a live stream. These people. So we've got the superstar here. This is not green screen. This is not special effects. The guy, see, look, here's my hand right there on his camera. He is right here with us. You got up super early this morning. You
3 a.m.
Flew all day, and now you're
it's
here.
9 p.m. Do the math. It's been a long day.
But it's only 6 p.m. your time, so you're still...
I count it how I count it.
So I would love nothing more than to sit here on this live stream and say that you came here just to do this. But we all know that's not the truth. Why are you here in Virginia? Why have you graced us with your presence?
Because I got suckered into speaking at a club that I said no to a couple of times, but caught me in the weakness of the Amazon jungle. Michael Barber is part of the Potomac Valley Aquarium Society, PVAS,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And asked me to speak. And I was like, well, I kind of got a busy schedule. I don't want to travel as much this year. And I ended up agreeing to it. And then, honestly, I think I said I was going to speak here, and you're like, you should come to my house. And I was like, oh yes, we could do that. And so then it worked out. We booked a couple extra days so I could hang out here on the live stream and with John and Lisa and maybe shoot some videos and then give a talk on Saturday. I think I start at 1 o'clock. Is it in Fairfax?
It is Fairfax indeed.
So if you're
yes.
local, I believe anyone can attend. I'll strong arm you into joining the club, hopefully, willfully that is. And I'll give a talk that is titled From Top Ramen to Tacos.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I'm going to be the one delivering you to the event, and so I will be sticking around. Nobody's going to go there to see me. They're all going to go there to see you. But we'd love to say hi to you if you do come out and hang out that day. It'll be a lot of fun. I think the event starts at 1. Do you know for a fact your talk starts at 1? Or?
No idea.
Okay. Well,
I always show up. I just know that we're bringing kind of a lot of extreme food to give away, and I'm giving a talk. And at some point, I think there's dinner afterwards, which I'm doing. It is solely my job to show up and try and entertain people for 45 minutes to the best of my ability. Anything outside of that, I both apologize for and take credit for, depending on how it goes.
Well, the interesting thing is, I've been looking forward to this for a while, and we've been working together for a while. So it was like, oh, if Corey comes here, we're going to be able to talk about so many things. We're going to be able to do so many activities. And then I got a message from you on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it Monday? I think it was Monday.
Yeah.
The message read, folks, just so you know, I woke up sick with a fever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm pretty sure everyone on YouTube knows this, but Corey lives in Seattle. I mean, do you live in Seattle or like...
I'm about 15 minutes outside of Seattle.
So he lives in Seattle. And if you've been watching the news lately, my first original thought was, oh no, but you're good now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. Glad. I mean, I was nervous because I'm like, oh man, I'm nervous for you being sick. And then also, we're not going to be able to do this and all of that. So yeah, selfishly I was concerned, but I was also concerned about your health. So, but I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad you were able to make the trip. It's very, very cool. And I'm glad to be your taxi service this weekend. So we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. We are going to answer questions that were put in. This was suggested by you because
I said do an AMA. I love to answer questions.
2 hours ago, I said, what are we going to talk about tonight, Corey? And you said, let's put up a post that says, ask me anything. And people have done just that. So now, let's see. Let me figure out. I'm a professional at this, just so you know.
So I'm told.
Let me get to the questions that have come through. Now, I am seeing, let me go ahead and run through these real quick before they get out of hand. I have seen some super chats, and I don't want to miss those. And like a dummy, I didn't open up the appropriate window. So, yep, this is really bad. There was 2. Okay, I'm going to have to get to them in a minute. While Corey's talking, I will open up the appropriate window. So we will get to the super chats soon. Is somebody waving to you? Is that why you're waving from back there?
My wife, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. So I asked Lisa, we've known that this was going to be going on for a few weeks now. I asked her, are you going to be sitting in here with us? We can figure it out. We can get 3 microphones. And she said, no, you and Corey just do your thing. And I'll just sit in the background and look pretty and wave to people from the background. So
it's the better job.
It's certainly the easier job. That's for sure. Let's get into these questions. Let's just go right into it. Unless there's anything you want to say. I mean, the show's just as much yours as it is mine.
Never.
Okay. I'm going to put this up here then. I'm going to put the questions on the screen.
Over my face.
You can't see them.
Yeah.
Which is going to make it interesting. We do not have a screen open for Corey. Maybe I'll work on that.
No, you have to read them to me.
I will, but I'm
All
saying
right.
these questions are for me. They're for you. So while you're answering, I will do other stuff. This is from Unfiltered Aquarist. It was the first question that came through. These were this was a post to our channel members on the community page. Unfiltered Aquarist says, how much do I need to pay you, Corey, not John, to come scape my 500-gallon tropical community tank?
Oof. A lot of money. Only because the job in which I'd have to do. So one, if I was going to do that, I've got a lot to prove because I've always told people that I know how to aquascape. I've had aquascape tanks in the past. They're a lot of work for something I don't have time for. And I wouldn't want to... I'm not a fan of like building something. It looks rad for like a minute and a half. And then when you see it again, you're like, what happened to that thing? And so part of it is you have to buy your way through a tank like that. So as someone who owns an 800-gallon tank and a 360-gallon tank, when you start looking at like, well, we should put some Ceru stone in there. And then pretty soon you're like, oh, 400 pounds of Ceru stone is what looks correct. And that ends up being a lot of money. And same with plants and that kind of stuff. And so I'd be afraid I won't do, to quote Ron Swanson, don't half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing. And that's, I would have to go into, and it'd be like a week at your house, and I have to fly a bunch of supplies in to do what I would be proud of, and then make sure you can upkeep it, because I feel like I'd have something to prove with YouTube. And I don't like doing that because I prefer to focus on, let's do something everyone can do. So you were asking me earlier about my 800-gallon aquarium, and I actually think it was a mistake, and I wouldn't buy another one because it differentiates me from other people in that not everyone can relate to an 800-gallon aquarium. And so having more realistic-sized tanks was better to communicate with people, and it taught better. And that's what I'm here to do, is teach and have fun at the same time. And the 800-gallon is kind of the opposite. While it's got wow factor, it's not fun to work on. It's dreaded. You have to build a plan of how you're going to get stuff in and out. And, a 500-gallon aquarium starts becoming like that as well. I don't know the dimensions of this aquarium, but even on my 360-gallon in the store, when you have an aquarium that's 4 feet front to back, and you want to put something in about a foot from the back, you either got to go all the way around, which a lot of people put these tanks against a wall, and that becomes impossible, or you have to get this rock that's this big, because that's what's proportional, as far out as you can, and kind of I do this move a lot of like, huh, and hopefully it falls, and then you grab your claw that you'll always have because you've got a tank that's too big for the human arm, and now you're kind of trying to like get it into place, and then it like flings off. And then after you're done with all that, you go, like, great, let's get plants on that now, and let's do this and that. So I would end up quoting an amount of money that would seem ludicrous. And so normally what I tell people is, if I was already there and there's a reason for me to do it, I'd probably do it for free, but there's probably not an amount of money you could pay me that would make sense to both parties. And so, much like this, like I wouldn't fly out just to do a live stream, but since I'm already here and there's another thing to do, so I think I met Unfiltered Aquarius. I think he's got a rad logo, actually. I got his business card last time I was in California. So if I come back to speak in California, there's a chance to make something like that happen because I'm already there type of deal.
I think that I'm not here to disagree with you because you're my special guest and I don't want to be that way. But I think there's something to be said, though, about when you were talking about an 800-gallon aquarium not being relatable.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of people that watch you and live vicariously through you.
Sure.
So for them, it's a beautiful thing to see a giant aquarium like that. I mean, even the tank sizes that I have, you saw them today. They're big tanks, not as big as yours, but I think that there's a lot of people that look at those and like, I really like to look at that, even though I'm never going to be able to have one. And it's not a money thing, it might be a size thing or not enough space or whatever, you know. So living vicariously through, I like watching videos about people in Lamborghinis. I'm never going to have one. I can't relate to that. So I'm not trying to be argumentative. I agree with what you said, but
it works well. We bought it for advertising. It works well for that. And just the longer I do this, the more I care more about the education part. So
I don't think anybody could even argue the fact that it's the most gorgeous goldfish tank on YouTube.
It's like the only goldfish tank. There's so much more I want to do with it, but I'm literally limited by dimensions. I run into that all the time. Even trying to buy decor or something like that, it gets, you know, we'd have to have like a background custom built for it, and that becomes its own pain. Like we bought the 7-foot log from like Universal Rocks, and it looks like he threw a twig in there. Like it's just, it's now that I've had a tank that big. So 360 gallons was big, but like, oh, bigger would be better. And originally when we had the aquarium being built, it wasn't meant to be that big. It was supposed to be 8 foot like it is, 4 feet front to back like it is, but only 36 inches tall. And it became 40 inches tall due to materials not being available. We had to buy the next panel size up, cost more money. But you wouldn't think that 4 inches height on that acrylic makes more of a difference, but you're just, 4 inches away from something you couldn't reach to begin with. And it's not the 40 inches. That's not the problem. It's when you start doing the math of like 40 inches to 4 feet back, that diagonal gets crazy long. And so I have a 6-foot net that we use to collect in Peru and stuff that oftentimes I'm using to try and move a rock or a plant. And it's unwieldy because you don't necessarily want to get into your aquarium every time there's something you want to move. And
You may have done it on video, but have you been inside of that thing? Or just Jimmy?
I've been inside when it wasn't full of water. Every time, like I want to go in because I think, one, to make funny YouTube video, and I don't get to say that I've swam in my own aquarium yet, but there's actually a waiting list to get in. Like right now, Tazawa's next up on the list. Zenzo is next up on the list. When we do a big project, he wants to be there to be the one that gets to get inside. And so I could do it myself, but if someone really wants to do it, I feel like, well, why not let them? Like it's kind of a fun weekend anyway. And, it's kind of like visiting monuments in the city you live in. You never go because I can go anytime. I could technically get into my aquarium and swim in it every day if I want, which means I never do it.
That's true. People who have hot tubs never get in them. People who have pools rarely swim in them. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Would you mind if I blasted through some super chats here real quick and then get into, because unlike you, I still have to have super chats here because
it's not have to get to.
I know. That's very true. Very true.
I limit them based on there tends to be so many. It doesn't let me present the topic anymore. So that's why I do believe it's a get to.
That is very true. And the beautiful thing, though, about this is that it's an AMA and it's one question after the other. So I can sneak in some quick super chats and we can get through that.
My plight is always, by the way, if you're going to super chat, the creator appreciates that. But if you're going to spend $5 or more, become a member.
That's
And
very
that's
true.
a kind of a longer lasting thing. It means more to YouTube. And in general, we try to answer members in addition to other people, but we do what we can. So that's, I see someone spent $20 there.
That's 4 months.
Should have become a member, and then a $15 super chat, got your question answered, and a membership. That's a Yahtzee.
I probably just got 5 or 6 more members because of you.
I hope
Thank
so.
you. Mascara Terra. She worships you. I don't know if it's you or me. It just says you. Could be either one. But either way,
It's
that's
Lisa,
pretty cool.
actually.
That's most likely,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much, Mascara Terra, for that. I hope I'm saying your name right. Fish Tank Barn, what do you think his super chat? There's 2 words that are going to guaranteed be in a Mike Howe super chat.
So my logic would tell me it's either about tacos or about ice cream.
How about both? John, buy Corey an ice cream and a taco. We're having tacos tomorrow. Corey just doesn't know that yet.
Oh no, I changed that.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, Lisa changed that plan.
Now
Sorry.
it's broccoli.
I was going to make you my world famous tacos, but she ruined it.
There's
Sorry.
still a taco I need to eat that I haven't, and that is Lucas Bretz makes tacos with baked beans on them.
Oh,
He says it's amazing. It sounds crazy, but I'm crazy enough to try it. So that's still one that, because I've had tacos at his house before, and then he brought up this, this craziness with baked beans that I've not tried, and so there's still a trip I have to make someday.
sounds almost as crazy as spaghetti tacos.
I haven't done that either, but that doesn't sound nearly as good as baked beans.
It's from a kids show called iCarly on the Disney Channel. Anyway, that's what spaghetti tacos was from. But anyway, see, I'm not as famous as Corey. I'm not even famous at all. But when I become as famous as you, and I'm going to people's houses and I'm like a special guest, I'm a pizza guy. I love tacos too, but just know that I'm a pizza guy. I'm not picky about it either. Pepperoni, I'm good. That's all I need.
You could start a whole thing like I do. Is it crunchy or is it soft? Is it deep dish? Is it thin crust? Is it...
Crunchy, thin crust.
That's me too for pizza. I only eat thin crust. Well, not only. That's all I order.
I like a deep crust. I went to Chicago. I did the Chicago deep dish thing. It's good. I enjoyed it. It's more like a pizza cake than...
People are freaking out right now. You didn't have the right one. I know it. If you had mine, you'd love it.
What's the name of the pizza place in Chicago?
Isn't it Giorgio's or something
That's
like
the-
that?
that-
Yeah. Everyone,
I
whatever.
think that's the one I went to.
I mean, whether it's Giorgio's or something similar like that. Everyone said this is the one you got to go to. We all ate there.
I don't think it's Giorgio's. I don't think it's that one.
It's something else, I'm sure, but it's fill in the blank. Everyone in Chicago was like, you got to go there. And we all did. And it was good. It was more like lasagna than it was like pizza to me.
That's exactly right. Like a pizza cake. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really good. I wouldn't want to have it every week.
You can't eat it by your hand either. That's knife and fork territory.
I prefer the floppy, two-handed, fold it in half, that kind of... That looked X-rated, and I didn't mean for it to, but that's what I prefer. Fold that bad boy in half, let the grease drop out, and then, yeah, that's me. Giordano's.
That's what it was, yeah.
There it is. Me and Sean Peck went there, and we both wanted to vomit in the parking lot because we'd eaten so much, but it was because it was so good. That was a good time.
If you haven't eaten it before, you don't expect a 4-inch thick pizza. You're like, how deep is deep dish? Oh, yeah.
It is lasagna is the perfect way of describing that. So thank you, Fish Tank Barn. Luke Billington with the €2, I guess, 2 pounds. I don't know what the little backwards E is. It's not backwards E. Who cares? Hello, can I put a common pleco with tetras and guppy? You're the guest. Go ahead.
Yes, you can.
Should you?
Well, that depends. Normally, the first flag for me is people normally keep tetras and guppies maybe in like a 20 or 30 gallon tank. So maybe a common pleco doesn't fit there. That being said, maybe you're the guy that has the 800 gallon aquarium and would fill it with guppies, in which case a common pleco could live its life out there. I have a common pleco in my 800 gallon that I caught while I was in Peru. So that's kind of a cool trophy I brought back. But, unfortunately, common plecos are kind of a bump on a log, and they hide on the live stream for me. But can be done. I always ask why. Is it, we're rescuing one from someone else? If you're going to go buy one, there's 50 better options that will probably look cooler and do a better job of whatever you're wanting to do. But, to be honest, a 2-foot common Plecostomus in a tank that's like 180 gallons or more looks awesome, because you so rarely see it. People with big tanks don't dedicate it to something so common. But, we had one lady one time that really enjoyed raising common and sailfin Plecostomus at the store I used to work for before I had my own. And her tank actually like busted, and she brought in like 7 of them, and they were all just like 2-foot things. And they were really well kept. Like, she was feeding several zucchinis a day and like, going to town on these things. They were really cool, but they required so much cleaning because we had to keep feeding them or they'd start fighting. And she was cleaning all the time, and cool animal, but you can get a common Pleco or a Great Dane, either one.
Yeah, I love big Plecos. I find them to be lazier the bigger they get.
Mm-hmm.
So they can be a little boring. I had one in my 8-foot 240. I've got one in my...
They look like dinosaurs.
Yep. I've got one in my 360 now. He's maybe, I don't know, he's maybe 8 inches long now. I don't know if you saw him today. Like you said, he hides a lot. And when they get so big that they can't climb behind the rocks and do all of those things, they just kind of sit there. And they can be a little bit boring. But it is a very unique, very cool fish. It's one of the first fish I ever bought was a common Pleco. Put it in a 29-gallon because I was a smart guy, did all my research. And listen, folks, I'm joking here, okay?
Sounds like a Tool episode.
Hey,
all these are real life stories, aren't they?
We're gonna record tomorrow. Maybe we could do that. I can put the hat on real quick.
Wait, that's you?
No. It's a guy from down the street. A lot of people are talking to you on here, which is fun. Sitting back there, just looking cute. What do you think of Dwarf Gouramis? That is from Mick Lewin. Sounds like McLovin. What a great movie.
I don't like dwarf gouramis for the most part. Most of them I find, like as a retailer where I sell them, I'm mostly selling people problems because they don't put them into the right homes and right tank mates. They see them at the store and they'll be like, but they look great here. Like, yeah, we have 40 of them crammed into a 20-gallon and they can't be aggressive. Take one and put it in your 40-gallon and he's got something to prove. So we only sell typically like the female dwarf gouramis because they're way more peaceful, which is nice. And then like the honey gourami, the sunset gourami, some of those that they're more of the dwarf species. So while I do like them and they are colorful, I haven't found a tank in which I'm in love with. There's still a tank I was actually considering doing in one of my tanks, and that was kind of the collect them all gourami tank, which I've seen some people do in the past, and it kind of looked kind of cool when you've got like, oh, there's a group of 8 to 10 pearl gouramis, there's these dwarf gouramis. Like, you build this huge community. It's kind of expensive to do, but I'm not sure how well it works out long term. Sometimes you only see a snapshot of some tanks, and you're like, that thing is awesome, and then you don't find out that it, was just a death tornado 4 weeks later, and no one ever tells you about that. Like, yeah, that totally went down the drain. It sucked. Like, oh, okay.
Okay, couple more of these real quick, and then we'll get back to the questions. Aquarium Conversations, $2 says, water change is done. Can't wait to watch this. It's all because of you. 828, by the way.
828.
Remember what I told you the record was. So,
you,
my friend, fist bump on that. You have set the record. Charlotte Jackson.
Oh, there's 828 right now.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Charlotte Jackson with the $20. Homemade tacos.
Nice.
Of course, there is going to be taco talk when Corey is on. And I don't know what Lisa's problem is. I really wanted to make you tacos tomorrow. I make special tacos.
There's just a bigger surprise, I'm sure.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Let's get to the next question from a member, which I just messed up here.
This is one of the member perks. Not that it happens every month, but stuff like this where we were crunched for time. We wanted to sort through, ask the members, ask me questions. Because we thought members had a higher probability of knowing who I was, whereas just your normal subscribers don't necessarily know who I am. As much as we all think we all know each other, we find out on a daily basis, like, wait, you don't know this YouTuber? You don't know that person? And a lot of times they just stumble upon the YouTube rabbit hole and be like, I'm always shocked when I meet people that are like, "Wait, you just watch me? What about all these other people?" "Oh, I don't. I'm not really that big into fish." Like, then what are you doing here? Like, "Oh, I just wanted to meet you." Like, that's bizarre. Didn't realize that. I thought everyone had to be an ultra fish YouTube nerd or not. There's a spectrum
there's no
to this.
gray area.
Apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's 856 now. The overwhelming majority of the people that are in here are probably not people that would post in the chat and all this kind of stuff. They're just casual people. They probably have us on in the background. They heard that you were going to be on it, and they're like, we like listening to that guy talk. The bald guy kind of gets on my nerves, but I like listening to Corey talk. So, but yeah, it's funny. I talk about it all the time. I go into people's houses every day for my real job. And I shouldn't say that anymore. That's not fair to YouTube for me to call it a real job. My other job. And
I call it the day job.
That's fine.
Like by day, even one of my managers, Robert, he asked what I was doing. I took a picture of my screen, and he was like, "Oh," because it was charts and reports of like we're planning and doing stuff, and I was like, "This is my life now." And he's like, to quote Robert, he's like, "I'm gonna call you the Matrix now," because I have multiple screens of all these charts and stuff going. I'm like, all I do is analyze data, whether it's for my business, my channel, other people's channels. Doesn't matter what I'm into. It's all about data for me. So it's
you are a wizard when it comes to that stuff, and I'm not trying to butter
Wizard
you up.
Apprentice Magic Card reference.
I mean, yeah, I'm not. I'm a nerd. I mean, look at all my bobbleheads. I'm a nerd, but I'm not that much of a nerd. But yeah, your brain operates almost like Rain Man. It's impressive. The things that you remember that.
It's very trained in doing that and not, like speaking. It's not very good at that.
She had to remind me the other day of our 11-year anniversary. No, wait a minute. Let me rephrase. She had to remind me of our 10-year anniversary, which I then reminded her, no, sweetheart, it's 11. We're not married though, so it's the 11 years from the time we first met.
Wait, if you get married this year, you tie Dorkula and I. I think we got married on year 11. We had been dating for 11 years. I think it was 7 before I proposed. I think she'll know better than me.
I mean, we might as well be married. We raise our children.
Legally, you might be.
Children.
I don't know in this state. But in
I actually
my Washington, you would be legally.
I looked into that.
Is.
There is no common law marriage in Virginia. I think there used to be, but there's not anymore. What are you going to do? I tried to pull that card, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Back to the members' questions. Flower Horn Fanatic. How to tell different diseases on your fish. Sometimes it's very difficult to diagnose your fish, and was wondering if there are any helpful tips. This is easily something you could do the entire rest of the hour on. So, maybe 1,000 words or less.
I'm going to make it super easy because there's only 2 ways to handle this. It's either super in-depth or not in-depth at all. And I'm going to go with the not in-depth because we have videos on how to do it kind of in-depth a bit. So I think the basic thing you can focus on is it a bacterial infection? Is it a fungal infection? Or is it a parasite? Now, one of the easiest ways is a parasite is going to be like a living thing. So it could look like salt, could look like dust, it's going to look like something is on this fish. If it's internal, you won't be able to see it, but that's one group. Fungus, for the easiest way to put this is, does it look like it's got cotton-like growth? If you've ever seen a cotton ball from like the drugstore, take a little piece of that off, and if you were to put that on a fish, that's fungus. Now, there's some other types, but that's going to be the main one you run into. And then bacterial infections, like, do I have any on my... Well, not a bacterial infection, but I always use the cut on a hand analogy. If you've ever cut your hand before and it scabs over, that is kind of... The redness is bacteria and healing. That's what it's going to look like on your fish. If you can at least narrow it down to one of those 3 categories, you then can go to a pet store, and instead of going, can you tell me what this blurry picture is? You can go, I have this infection. I have a bacterial infection. What products do you have that can treat that? And that will put you so much more than someone going, oh, I actually thought they were talking about the other fish. I gave them the complete wrong medication. Because we'll get that in email all the time of, what's wrong with this fish, and I identify like what's wrong with it, and they're like, oh, actually I was talking about the other fish. Like, okay, well that's wrong with that also. But now that you've actually focused me on this, I think that's what's going on over here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you could go all night on that one, and I apologize, Flower Horn Fanatic. We want to get to everybody else too. There were 25 questions submitted.
At least.
You were actually disappointed by that. You were like, "That's it." I'm like, "Hey, I'm not a big shot like you are."
I just said I could burn through those really quick if we needed to. That's all I said.
You were disappointed because you thought there'd be more, and you know it.
All right.
All right. Let's get to this one. Paul Martin, everyone's good friend.
Good dude.
We all love Paul Martin. I was confused by this one a little bit, but I think, like I said, you're Rain
The
Man,
answer
so you
is Cheetle.
Cheetle?
Yeah, that's the official definition from Cheetos on what the dust on your hands after eating Cheetos is.
I call Cheetle the actor that plays Rhodey on The Adventures. Don Cheadle?
Yeah.
Paul Martin asks, what is or are there any concerns running a reverse flow under gravel filter? Purely for biological filtration and the additional use of either hang-on-back or canister filter for mechanical can/will plants do poorly in this type of environment.
All right. So running in reverse, I'm going to explain what's going on here to one, familiarize my brain with it, and two, for people that don't know what we're talking about. But an under gravel filter is a plate underneath the gravel that used typically would be driven by air. We're going to drive it by a power head. Used to be you'd run it in reverse. Now you can also just have the downflow push the water through. So the goal is to push the water up through the gravel. And if we grow a bunch of bacteria on that gravel, great, we're going to process ammonia basically into nitrate. That's all good things. What we find happens if you don't put intake sponges on those power heads, you end up sucking up fins and shrimp and food. Like, what's one of the biggest things? Because now you have an intake. Imagine you've got a canister or hang on back, and the intake, which would have been down low in the aquarium, is now this far from the surface. It's going to pull food and stuff in there. And when you think about this, you pull some flake food or a pellet in, and you ram it down underneath the gravel. And now it's sitting under the gravel rotting. Good thing is we've got a ton of biological filtration. We'll break that down. So we're not that worried about it, but we don't want fish fins and stuff getting caught in there. So intake sponges, they typically are ugly right at the top of your water. It's like having sponge filters right there. Not so good, but the benefits are you do get ridiculously good flow in your aquarium, and it's actually a very beneficial way to grow plants. There's the person that runs the plant award program in our club, Master Aquatic Horticulturist. He only runs his tanks with underground filters, both normal way and reverse flow. In fact, one of the ways they do it is they inject the CO2 into the power head, so it pushes it under the gravel, and so it has maximum time to dissolve into the water as it rises back up to the top. So that's kind of a thing. If you put way too much in, you actually get an anoxic zone down there. So don't do it a ton, but that is one way to do that. And keeping roots basically fed with oxygen, good water flow for nutrients and things like that are only beneficial. The only problems you run into very long term, roots grow into the plate, and if you ever want to move them, you kind of have to snap the roots and they'll rot. That being said, by the time it could ever clog up, you've got so many plants, it's a non-issue anyway. So in general, if you can get past the looks of the way you need to run the reverse underground filter, it's actually pretty beneficial. And in fact, Dean, who is on a lot of my videos, he's playing more and more with them, running them with canisters and hang on backs and that type of stuff, and he really likes it. And he's doing A/B tests versus other filters, and he's kind of coming around to this old technology was really good and is still really good, because the good thing about gravel, it's got every particle size pretty much, and so you'll really polish the water to a finer polish than we can normally get with our filtration.
Very first aquarium I ever set up was an under gravel filter.
I wish mine was, because I'd probably do things differently now. Like, I do like them. I don't know. There's some reason they don't work for every fish. If fish that dig a lot, they don't work well for. And for a lot of my career, I was really into African cichlids and stuff, and turtles, and like convicts. All those dig, and they render parts of it useless. So sponge filter, no matter what the fish does, is still usable.
Corey in his efforts to cater to the audience today, did not want to talk about African cichlids. You had suggested possibly making today's topic African cichlids, and I was like, we can do that. And then you said, well, a lot of the audience that's going to be here tonight is probably going to come from my channel, which is expected.
Could be.
And they're not. Most of those people are not African cichlid people.
Or I assume they're not. That doesn't mean they aren't, but I don't talk about it, so I don't want to alienate people that aren't into African cichlids. Well, if I can help it.
Let's face it, African cichlids are in a little bit of a lull at the moment. I still love them. I got a tank full of them.
Until I put them in the 800 gallon.
Oh, you can't do that. I'll be showing me up. That's not fair. I'm sure there's plenty of tanks over there that, or on YouTube, African cichlid tanks that are showing mine up. 908, by the way. So I told Corey before the stream, what did I say? It was like 740?
Yeah, it was your record.
Was my record. So that's
I
why
believe your direct quote was, "You better get me to 1,000 today." And I was like, well, I don't even know if my streams do that anymore.
I said, if we don't have 1,000, it's going to be disappointing.
Yeah.
Shane. You should have made the trip.
Time to go, get your grandma logging into the iPad here. We're calling out everyone we can get.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Fish Tank Barn. Not only has he super chatted twice, but he's also a member, and he submitted a question. Gotta love that guy. I'm going to see him next weekend in Maryland.
Dad van.
That's right. Do you still see the trends that you projected in 2020 continuing? Do you see any new trends evolving?
I think it's early to see necessarily new trends. I think most of the stuff's continuing. I don't think we're far enough in 2020 to go like, oh, there's been a major shift. I do believe, like, I've got plans to do a mud skipper tank, and I know that my wife has wanted one for a long time. I think Dean's going to get one. And so I'm wondering if Zenzo having mud skippers, myself getting some, and Dean getting some, if that will create an uptick in mud skippers. And so I'm slowly dragging my feet to make sure that I create some education videos and learn a little bit more before I potentially, because I don't know, I might thrust a lot of people into like, I want to do that. And then it's going to create a bottleneck on the industry. And we don't want, most stores can't tell the difference between the Indian and the African mud skippers and that kind of stuff. And so I think that's a trend that could emerge. Not that I'm necessarily trying to push it, but it's something that I fell in love with when I was at Zenzo's house, and knowing that I'm going to do it if I give it decent screen time, which usually that's what happens. When I fall in love with something, I want to show other people what I think is cool. And so that'll end up being a lot of little YouTube stories and community posts and all of that. And that usually generates a little bit of a buzz, but I'm very careful knowing that, is that an okay thing to do? Like if I was to create a huge buzz around Paku or something, that's not necessarily a good thing in the hobby. If we sold 10,000 Paku in the next 6 months and now we don't have homes for them. So not that I necessarily think I have that much influence, but when you get a bunch of people all liking the same thing, it tends to be other people want to try. Like, wow, this person and this person both like it, and that person got one. And so that might be a new trend, but what I'm really trying to do is I want to take some of the DIYs that he's done, implement those projects. I want to finally start playing with brackish water plants because I've never gotten anything to do well yet, and I feel like everyone suggests the same plants and they all kind of die at the same rate. And so I would love to do a lot of experimenting, which means usually you watch a lot of me failing in front of a camera, but then maybe a year from now or 2 years from now, when someone goes, what brackish plants, I actually have real life experience instead of, well, the internet says Java moss, Java fern, and this should work, but every time I tried it failed. So that's what I see.
I think there's something to be said about, and maybe it's because I've done this, but learning something on YouTube. My first saltwater aquarium I ever had, I set it up and I showed it all on
without
YouTube.
an RO unit.
No, I did have one.
I think the original time you filled it without RO water, and then everyone's like, dude, you got to use RO.
No, I think you're confusing that.
All right.
No, in fact, I know that wasn't me because I had that RO unit set up. Like, yeah, I had the RO system.
Okay.
But maybe I didn't. I don't know. I don't know. It was like 3 years ago. How do I know? Maybe you're right. I mean, your memory is certainly better than mine. But the point that I was trying to make is, I think everybody looks at you as an expert, 100 times more of an expert than me. There's no doubt about that. And you certainly are. But if you were to say, hey, look, I'm going to do this. I'm doing it for the first time. This mud skipper tank, this might go badly. I feel like there's value in that if the people see, hey, I made a mistake and this mud skipper almost died or whatever. I mean, I think that there is immense value in making mistakes on YouTube. I mean, because I think that there's a lot of people that are afraid to try things that they've never done because they're afraid of being embarrassed. I'm like, we're all fish keepers. We all kill fish, every single one of us. There's nobody on earth that's been a fish keeper that hasn't had fish die. So why not show that? And then the people can learn. The value that they will get is learning from your mistakes. I'm not trying to convince you to do that. I mean,
no, my only fear is always to make sure that when the mistake happens, that I document it in a way in which it's actually beneficial. So instead of like, I killed this fish and people click on it for the views, more like, I killed it, here's how I killed it, here's how I actually think you avoid killing this in the future. I'm going to try that. And, teach the lesson of learn from your mistake, not just like, well, I replaced it. Like I so am against I'll just buy it from Petco and it dies, they'll give me another one. Like, it's not about the money. It's about, how did I fail? Oh, I didn't research well enough. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. And I think there's a lot of ambiguity, especially around mud skippers. People don't even know. They're like, well, they're brackish. How much? Some, somewhere between almost no salt and full salt. Like, that's a huge range. And so if I was to keep them, I would be playing with that. I'd be going, well, what do they act like with almost no salt? What do they act with a lot of salt? And try to give, and I'm always trying to give, what is Corey's actual experience opinion on something? Not just, well, Wikipedia says in the wild they come from this salinity, because most people think wild is always the best. That's not the best for the animal. If you find humans in Antarctica, you wouldn't just say like they only live at those temperatures. That just happens to be that's where you found them. And depending on time of year and all that kind of stuff, it really changes what an animal might prefer. And so I usually am trying to go, like with a guppy even, can they live at 85? Yes. They only live like 14 months because they burn out and die. Can they live at 68? Yes. They live a very long time. They take forever to grow up. They take forever to breed. And so maybe somewhere in the middle is the right thing. And so I've got my own, like I run my whole fish room at 74 degrees, which is not what the internet would say to do at all. And yet everything that's ever bred for me, everything that's ever done well is basically at 74 degrees. And I've had a lot of luck. And that's what works for me in my water.
Yeah, and I guess what I was saying could actually backfire too. If you're making those videos, like me, I didn't make any huge mistakes with my saltwater tank. But if I did something, made some kind of a change on my saltwater tank, and then I did a video about it. Hey, look, I made this mistake, or hey, look, I made this change.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, I discover that change I made was a meteoric mistake, and now all of the fish are dead. How many people have seen that in that first 2 weeks, and they'd think, oh, well, he did this, so now I'm going to do it. So I might have killed a whole bunch of fish.
Especially if you don't update. Like if you never go like, oh, that was a horrible idea, and you don't let people know that didn't work, that's where it leads to like, oh, I've actually done harm now.
Yeah, so forget about what I said about that. Here's how you do it. You do it, but you're like 4 weeks out, so that you have those time to make those mistakes, and then you just don't release the video.
We do a lot of that. That's why no one's seen my fish room in months at this point. It's like we've tried a lot of things out, and not that we're trying to hide stuff. We also just don't want to promote a product or a way of doing something that turns out that it's not very good. Because if I'm trying something and I have no idea, it's like me, I don't want to teach you how to cook something. I've never cooked it before, but I've got an audience of 1,000 people watching, and they think, well, he wouldn't put a show on unless he know how to cook it.
Right.
It's like, but I actually don't know how. So, as you get more views and that kind of stuff, you get a little more responsibility. It's not just as easy of like, just do something anymore. It's like, well, what are the implications of me doing something?
Absolutely. So. Yeah, that's why I kind of wish there was a rewind button. I could just completely take back what I said about doing new things on YouTube. But I mean, I've done it. It worked out. And I did make mistakes on that tank. And I made it very clear that those were mistakes and all of that. I didn't have quite audience that I do now, and 1,000th the audience that you have. So, maybe I should have thought
It's
about
good to
that
make the
before I said it.
mistakes earlier, and it only gets more painful of it's hard. Like even with our med trio, there'll be people every day that says, I treated my fish with medicine and I lost some. But then there's also 10 people that say, treated my fish with these medicines and they all lived. And, part of it is like when you're using medicines, there's a big difference between, I think I'm getting sick, I'm going to take some medicine and head this off. And there's a difference where like, if I don't do something, I'm going to die tomorrow. The medicine working at that point is a lot lower than, oh, I think I'm starting to get this. And so that's the part that, going back to how do I diagnose disease and what makes it easier, acting quick really helps. But, a lot of times we're unobservant as humans. We go, oh, I caught this at the beginning. No, you caught it when you could see it, but maybe this is an underlying issue for the last 4 weeks. And so we don't know how far progressed because we don't have the tools. And, it's a tough thing even when you're doing the right thing, if 9 out of 10 people get the result you want, 1 out of 10, it still hurts. Like, well, how do I do better? That's all I think every day is, how do I make this? And so like even my med video, I think I've reshot over the years, like 3 or 4 times now, and still there'll be questions about it. And like, okay, well, how do I encompass this more? Like people aren't getting this part. And so I'll try again next year and see if I can perfect it.
Okay, we just had a comment come through that I have to,
All right.
because it involves me.
Oh, well then,
I mean, it's
important.
my show. You're a guest on
Yeah.
my show. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that the name is the Francois because it's the C with the little squiggly and then the OIS with the
Fancy.
yeah. And the question is, this is not a super chat. This is not a member. This is just somebody in the chat. So I'm not ignoring people, but this one's about me. What's your favorite thing about KG?
What's my favorite thing? It puts you on the spot.
You can talk about, you've been in King George County now for 3 hours. You can take that to mean, favorite thing about King George County, not us, because then that'd be weird.
So I'm gonna say the truth, and the truth is not always good. My favorite thing was, if I have to be honest, watching your store fail. You guys get humbled and come back and still be YouTubers after the failure, because at the time I was doing kind of the same thing of, I want to show fish, I want my store to work. And so I used it. I remember analyzing the podcast episodes you would do and listen and analyze where you talk about like what didn't work, so that it would help me avoid those pitfalls. And so that's one of the favorite things that locked me in early, because I liked African cichlids, and I've never been a guy that enjoys watching unboxings, but I would analyze it from a business standpoint, and that was my favorite thing. And even now, when I watch YouTubers, I still only analyze them. It's not too much because for a lot of times I've like, oh, I could see that talk in person, or I could do this or that. But I think that's my favorite thing is you offer a perspective that helped me avoid that. And it's one of the few things you can talk about that not many other people have ever talked about on YouTube. Like I don't have that. I haven't failed yet. But when I do, then I can join that club and be like, oh, I have insight on what not to do. I've got some insight on what to do. I've definitely have some failures, but that was the part. I remember those episodes would be over an hour. I'd listen to them 2, 3, 4 times in a week, just going, what about that part right there? And think about, okay, knowing that I know about this business, and when you guys had the store and then you moved it into the basement and you're filming on YouTube, and I would think about that. I wonder how much sales that runs. All of that was honestly my favorite part. You could ask, like, what's your favorite part today? I'd have to think more, but that's the part that sticks out in my mind of, yeah, that's where it started for me with KG Tropicals.
I remember you messaging me back then, and I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Not that I thought you were a jerk or anything. It was just like,
Yeah.
I remember those days because right around that podcast, loved that podcast. I want so bad. I tried to convince you to do a podcast with me. Problem is, we live on other sides of the country, and you're a super busy guy. I don't like to call myself a busy guy, but I got a lot of stuff to do. So it's difficult to get schedules lined up, but I sure do love it. I sure do love podcasting. I would love to do it again. In fact, I'm talking to somebody about doing it.
Oh.
She doesn't even know about that. But
I only find things out on live streams.
My wife would say the same thing. She literally, I didn't know, like the minute I come in from a live stream, I didn't know that. Like, I don't know.
yeah, it's very early talks, very early negotiations. You'll be the first guest if we even do guests, you know. But yeah, that's I miss those days. And you know what? It makes me so happy to hear that affected you that way. Like that, my failure helped you avoid that. I've always kind of been that guy. Like if I make a mistake, I'm actually eager to talk about it on YouTube. I had an arowana die a few months back and I was like, I have to make a video about this. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to act like it didn't happen. I'm going to say, hey, this is why it happened. And you learn from me. Don't be stupid like me. And I've kind of always been that way. And yeah. So Dorcula asks, what did Lisa say? She said, I always learn things from live streams, meaning she always learns things during live streams. So now I'm going to have to explain myself when we're done talking here. But yeah, I'm just back and forth a little bit with somebody about possibly doing a podcast. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Anyway, you'll be the first to know if it happens. All right. So the Zen Ginger asked, quite possibly, big supporter of the community, as you know, asked probably the easiest Corey McElroy question that's ever been asked. Current top 5 favorite live bearers, but please be specific, i.e. Dumbo mosaic guppies or trout
Goodeids.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I pronounced it improperly when I proofread the question for him. And so
By the way, I told him not to proof the questions to me because I like to answer them.
I only did like 4, but yeah.
The top 5 I have right now, I'm still in love with the Tiger Teddy, which is it Posilia elegans? It's elegans is a second. I'm trying to think of it's not Posilia, but Tiger Teddies, which are dwarf live bearer. I brought in some stuff off of Aquabid, and the things that caught my eye were a really nice yellow German Berlin Buttercup guppy that I've been looking for quite a while, so I have those. I brought in something else too. I'm trying to think of what was the other strain. Those were Apistos, those were cribs. The Blue Silverado Endler was another one, and there's a wide variety on that. There's kind of like a little bit of blue and a lot of that silvery blue color, and these ones have that silvery blue, which I'm really looking forward to. And then right now I'm all hopped up on mollies, and I don't have any.
Oh.
But the guy that I bought all those fish from has a very, very, very nice like gold color molly that I hadn't seen before. It's almost like a mango color. It's really cool. But he doesn't have enough to sell. Like, he already sold a bunch in the season. He's got like extra males he's selling, but that doesn't help me make any more. And why are you looking at mollies, Corey? Well, I really want to play with mollies in brackish water because they typically do well in very mineralized water, and that's one of the tests I want to do with mud skippers as well. Because what I know is African cichlids, live bearers, for the most part, they do well in brackish water. It's not from the salt. It's from all the extra minerals in that water. And so I'm wondering if mud skippers are the same way. And so I want to do some testing there. Is it the salinity that's important, or is it the amount of minerals? And I think that's where the ambiguity comes in a lot of times. Like, if you have hard water here and you keep low levels of salt, it might work out just well for you. Where I can breed discus and tap water at home. If I don't put enough salt in with minerals, maybe they won't do so well. So I want to play with that. I think I've still got one more live bearer to do. And the live bearer that I'm currently on the lookout for, I don't know the specific name because I don't think it ever got a specific name. It's the one that got away for me. And it's a Variatus platy type. It was like the best way I could explain the color is like the soft drink, like sun-kissed orange, like that orange color, but it had all these like metallic flakes through the body, and it was completely uniform. And I remember getting them out of Hawaii, but I got them like probably a month or two before I started the store. So this is like 7 years ago. And I put them in some breeders' hands, and none of them cherished them like I did. So I had to pay a stupid amount of money to get them and all of that. And I just thought they were the world's coolest fish. And everyone else was like, I mean, yeah, I could grow some platies for you. And they all just kind of let them wither away, and then they went away, and I've never been able to find them since. And they were one of the best looking fish I've ever seen. And I know they're like printing money, but the problem is I knew I was just going to be like, yeah, they're just platies, let them do their thing, while I'm trying to build a store, because I had to be there just all day long every day. And so that's what happened with them. And those are the thing that fish is the one I check Aquabid for like every week. There's no other fish I'm actually looking for. I'm looking, what else is there? That is the fish I'm actively looking to see. Is it back? Who in Hawaii had that? I need to actually look way in the Wayback Machine and see if they left feedback or I left feedback. I'd be able to see who I bought it from, and then possibly contact them and be like, do you have a fish from 7 years ago still? But those are my top ones at the moment.
Isn't it weird how our tastes change? When I started as a fish keeper, I was a monster guy, like Oscars.
That was me too.
You know, Dovai and arowanas and all of this. And then it kind of morphed into an assortment of things, and then African cichlids. My hobby has gone in waves just like the industry does. Some of my favorite fish now, I don't know if it's my old age or what, some of my favorite fish are the most common fish in the hobby. Right behind you is one of them. The Harlequin rasbora. I would die for those fish. Rummy nose tetras. You can see them in every Chinese food restaurant in the world. Maybe not. Maybe they have goldfish. But anyway, and denison barbs. You know how much I fantasize about a tank full of denison barbs?
I've had them a couple of times in big quantities. That's the only reason I stopped dreaming about them, because I did it twice. But yes, I do know that dream. I
mean, I understand they're not as common as rummy nose tetras and stuff like that. But denison barbs, I've had that fantasy.
You can buy them in a PetSmart.
I know.
That, to me, once it makes it to a chain store like that, it becomes fairly accessible to everyone. Like when it hits a chain store, yeah.
Absolutely. But I don't know. I mean, that's not all I care about right now. Obviously, we've got pretty much everything here. So
I treat it exactly like food. So when you find a new place to eat, or a new item comes on a place you like to eat, like let's say you like Taco Bell and they got a new item, you eat that thing like 4 times a week for like a month and a half straight, and then you never want one again until it's been like 2 years and they bring it back and you're like, I remember I lost 2 months of my life to that thing. Time to do it again. And I do that with fish all the time, of like I burn out on it. And then there'll be something that sparks my interest, and then it's like, you're right, it is that time again.
Yeah, the only fish that have never left me are arowanas and Oscars. Everything else is kind of come and gone. I love all fish. It's not like I hate those, but those two fish, they've never not been at the top of my list. And I know Oscars, a lot of people might make fun of me for that, but I love me some Oscars.
They're super personable.
They're awesome. They're puppy dogs. I just love them. Okay. I want to find that one, because we're getting to be, it's 10 o'clock. We're getting to be cutting it close.
We're doing
here.
a 4-hour show, right?
Yeah. I texted Rack this morning. Rack Cross is going to be on after us, the River Life. Nicest guy.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Nicest guy on YouTube. Also a personal friend of mine. I messaged him earlier today. I said, look, dude, I don't know what's going to happen tonight.
Good luck, bro.
Because Corey and I, if we get going, I don't know what's going to happen. But we're not going because I'm just letting you go. And because I run my mouth way too much, I'm just letting you talk. And I'm sitting back and just enjoying listening to you talk. I'm enjoying listening to you do all the work for me.
Good.
The question, shocker, is from the River Life.
Okay.
And the question is, hey, Corey, best tips for growing a YouTube channel from 3,000 subscribers to 10,000 subscribers.
All right.
Have at it, my friend.
Yeah. So my first words of advice is the amount of subscribers is irrelevant. So I could strong arm someone to subscribe, but really want to focus on how do I get people to watch? Because that, like, perfect example. I'm subscribed to KG Tropicals, but rarely do I find the time in my day to watch a video. So when I do watch a video from a creator, I actually consider that to be pretty special. And it's my job. I analyze and go, what was it about this that out of all the stuff that came through my desk today, I made time to watch this? And I think about that when it comes to, hit TV shows where people plan their weeks, their lives on, Sunday night is Game of Thrones. Sunday night is The Walking Dead or whatever it is. Like, you have tapped into something that becomes a ritual. And that is what I would say when you're trying to grow a YouTube channel. What is it that you can do that people really want to buy into? Do I need to watch another, top 10 video that I make? No, I don't, but a lot of people do. I already admit I don't like watching unboxings. But when I make them, other people like to watch them. And so finding the shows, and that's what I would say as a YouTuber, create shows and series. So even if we have a network on TV, they're not known for just one show. They have different shows for different types of viewers. And that's whenever I'm working with creators, I go, well, what shows are we going to create? Who does this cater to? Because if I make a show all about hot rod cars, that will never resonate with people that are just all about dogs. But I'm not trying to either. So just know that, and you might focus down on something super narrow of I'm only going to focus on brackish water fish. That's pretty narrow in the terms of the fish world. But you might own 90% of that market, but the market might be very small. And so my tips are, what are you doing that someone else isn't already doing better than you? And that most channels fall into that. So when it comes to an unboxing, there are channels with millions of subscribers that just unbox better than we do. They have better personalities. They have more talent, on-screen talent. They have better cameras, all of that. So what makes it that I'm doing it? So when I do an unboxing, the only thing that I can bring to an unboxing that maybe someone else can't is my knowledge about the fish and the way we import them and we treat them and all of that. Because otherwise, let's just have Lou unbox fish on Unbox Therapy, and he can make snide comments about fish, but he can't make, I know that when this fish comes in from this country, it's likely to get sick, and here's how we prevent that. And so that's what I would say is, what are you going to do that other people aren't already doing? And if they are doing it, how do you do it better? And most times, people can't answer those questions, and that's where, it's kind of like if you get a bad grade in school or something, and then someone asks you what happened? You have no idea. That is the answer. The answer is you're so far removed from what went wrong, you can't possibly fix it at that point. And so you should have, usually the data will always tell you. Rarely is there a YouTube channel that gets to 3,000 subscribers and has never done anything right. Because if you never do anything right, you just never get subscribers and traction and all of that. So then you just have to look at the data and be what did work? And usually, even my channel, basically 10% of the videos bring 90% of the views. And so, I should try and do more of that stuff that's working and less of the stuff that's not working. And sometimes that comes down to YouTube. For a long time on YouTube, live streams were treated badly. And so doing a live stream already put you at a disadvantage. Now they like long-term or long-form content, and they're treating it normal like a video. So that's actually what worked out really well for me is I kept doing live streams either way. And so I developed how to talk to people in a long format content. And so now when it's now favorable, I'm at an advantage. And so that's one of the reasons my streams typically do well is that it's very well practiced. I learned equipment and all of that, but that was at a detriment for a long time. And so with a small creator, my advice, figure out what you're going to do, try some things, stick to the things that work, even if they're not what you like doing. That's a real hard one for people to swallow, because just because of what you like, if the audience doesn't like it, that doesn't really matter anymore, right? Because you're on YouTube for an audience. And then it would be make one video per week, and it's got to be the best video you can make. Don't make 2 per week. Don't do that. And a live stream. Don't do all of that. Because
like me.
And me included, I have to run businesses and that kind of stuff in addition. But the amount of stuff we're competing with. So I know I did a live stream one time that, was like, who will win, The Walking Dead or Aquarium Co-op? And I've done it with the Super Bowl. But the joke is kind of like, well, The Walking Dead has 192 people working on it to make one episode. I got one. Now I'm up to 2 or 3, which is good. Like I'm closer to 193 than I've ever been, but I'm still 190 people away from making a perfect thing to grab 1 hour of my audience's time. And so we're always competing with people that are better than us. And so where do we fall into that line? Like, clearly I'm not The Walking Dead. I'm not Game of Thrones. Like, I don't have that production capacity. So in this realm of like the little fish world, can I get towards the top? And if I couldn't, maybe I would pick a different category. Can I get towards the top there?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Rack is a good guy. That he's working hard. He's working hard to build this community. And I appreciate that guy very much. He's going to be going on live. He's going to be going live in 23 minutes. I'm going to do my best for us to be done by then. The only thing I would
I'll quit now. No.
The only thing I would add to what you were saying is watch Mark Rober. Is it Rober or Roper? The science guy. I think it's Rober.
I don't know.
And Mr. Beast. Watch those guys. And then ask yourself, why do their videos get so many views? It's not because they have the EOS R camera and all the fancy lights. It's because they're watching videos that interest everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we can't do that because we're fish guys.
I'm also not trying to do that, though.
Well, that's true. But what I was going to say was take that philosophy, try to reach as many fish keepers. What I see a lot of channels doing, particularly smaller channels, and I certainly did this, you did this too, was being, you talked about it a second ago, being so niched down that you hear people like Sean Cannell and Daryl Eves say, niche yourself all the way down and be the master of that bit of the niche. When you do that with the fish keeping
is the niche already.
Right. It's already the niche that's already very, very small. It's already cut in half because of the saltwater people. And so when you do niche it all the way down to where you're only talking about L series plecos that are between 131 and 139, I don't even know if those are real numbers, but you have to ask yourself how many people want to watch that kind of stuff. And the answer is very, very few. You'll have your dedicated, loyal viewers that'll watch anything you do, but really nobody else outside of that is going to watch it. So try to reach as many fish keepers as you can. Do fish keeping videos, not specific videos that nobody's interested in. Does that make sense? Am I making any sense at all? I hope I am.
Yeah, I mean, to a dedicated YouTube audience, the easiest way to put it is most people start with, I just want to be a vlogger. People watch what I do in my life, and that's interesting. And some people have done it, and they go, well, I have an interesting life. And the reality is most of us don't. And so when we're saying to choose a specific topic, we're talking to those types of people where it's like, but today I'm going to talk about batteries because I need to buy batteries. Like, that's not interesting, though, and no one else cared. Oh, but now you're talking about rechargeable batteries specifically for phones and that kind of stuff. Like, that might be a thing people would watch.
Certainly. I've got to answer a question here and talk about you a little bit. The question is from Carrie Mabus. Question for John. What has Corey taught you about your live video setup? Well, he's yelled at me a lot because of the technical issues. And I would say things back to him, of course, like, well, it's not my fault. I mean, the thing broke. And he's like, it's of course your fault. It's nobody else. There's nobody else to blame. He's taught me how to take it more seriously as a show and actually try to engage people, keep people interested. And I do that by avoiding the chat at all costs, because if I don't, it sends me into a tailspin. But also to treat live streams as you would a video. Consider replayability. Consider the fact that the overwhelming majority of views to your live stream are not going to be live. So if you spend the entire time catering to the people that are there live, the people that watch it on replay are going to feel like they're not part of the whole thing. So yeah, that sounds bad. That sounds like, oh, don't pay attention to the people that are on your stream. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's more cater to both. Cater take care of the people that are here, of course, but then also cater to the people that are watching it on replay. Because I know, like for me, my streams, I usually have 2,100 people total that have come and gone during the live event.
Yeah.
And usually by the following week, we've got like 8,000. That's 6,000 people that watched it on replay. If I spent the entire live stream saying hi to every single person in the chat, if you think about it, it's kind of weird because I'd be saying hi to people that aren't even there, which is weird.
Yeah. And just, it matters that we mentioned that I'm going to speak on Saturday. Like, by the time Saturday rolls around, that information doesn't matter anymore. So just knowing that, you're putting something out there that's going to last for more than just this hour and a half we're doing it's an important mindset to take into account. And when you treat it like I am producing something that's going to last, you take it a lot more serious than I'm just going to go live. And too many creators do that, I think, is it's really easy to go live, get a piece of work done, and then be done. And it's kind of like a piece of work that never gets graded because it's like, it's just a live stream, anything goes, whatever. But the reality is you should take it serious because it is a portion of the job.
Well, and, I remember you said that to me a long time ago before we were technically working together. You had said, consider replayability and treat live streams as you would a long form edited video kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that always stuck
Which makes
with me.
it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to go, I'm going to make an hour and a half video right the first time because there's no editing. Like, it's a really hard skill. And that was something I would, talk about earlier is, just because someone's working hard doesn't mean they're good at something yet. So if I work for the next 6 months on how to learn Mandarin, doesn't mean I'm good at it. I might work at it all day long. I still might be terrible at it. But, you also got to be good at doing something too. And, it might take me 5 years to learn it, and it might take someone else a year. You got to know that you got to self-evaluate. Not everyone's good in front of a camera. Not everyone's good at editing. Like, there's this stuff I'm not good at. So I go, I better find a way to pay someone to do that because I'm bad at that.
Yes, indeed. This has been the easiest live stream I've ever done because I've had to do very little work. Just sit here and nod my head. I have to take the camera off of me because I look like an idiot. I'm just sitting here going like this the whole time. Stop it. Well, see, I'm glad about that. Lisa just said, welcome to my world.
I mean, she's got the easy job.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, you should be happy about that. I mean, Corey's working his butt off over here. I'm just sitting here vaping and watching the Caps lose, and it's just a beautiful thing. All right, let me blast through the super chats here real quick because we are running low on time, and it's I don't want to neglect
The night's
my
not
super
getting
chat
any
people.
younger.
That's right. Jamie McDonald. Oh, I thought Jamie McDonald was coming with some controversy, but he's not. The question should be a simple answer, 1 word or 2 word answer. Who has the best no content channel on YouTube?
I see. You think so?
Say that.
I don't know. I want to get Dean's Fish Room to like 10,000 or something so he can do community posts and pictures. Because he does a lot on Instagram and people don't follow him on Instagram. But, yeah. I don't think it's Candy, though.
Oh, shame on
I
you.
don't.
She's your employee.
That's right. That'd be favoritism.
That's true. He can't say Candy Overhauls. Who else is? Dean is the only one. Does your wife have any? I'll give you a little advice. Does your wife have any content on her channel?
No content. No.
Okay, then it's Dorcula. That's who it is. There you go.
I mean, I enjoy her Instagram, but that's the thing is like I'm trying to think because Dean legit is over like 4,000 subscribers and has never put out a video.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's not from me shouting it out or trying to get it. Like it just happened over time. People are like, that just shows me there's a demand. Like I keep telling him to troll people and release like a cooking video because that's what he did for a very long time. Is he's a chef and an instructor. And I just think people be like, who did I sign up for? And what is this?
You talk about demand. I have a series of videos that I did with a friend of mine here in King George a while back. You may have seen it. It's all on angel breeding, 7-part series. A lot of views for that, even by today's standards. I would love to have Dean on here. Obviously, he's not going to come here, but have him on remotely and talk all about angel breeding.
Yeah.
Maybe put a good word in for me because I've never met the man.
I'll see what I can do.
See.
All I can say is Dean is very choosy at which who he's willing to work with. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and so
Right,
are you,
it's-
and you're sitting in my basement
Yeah.
right now. So
I always warn people because it's like he's very particular. Like
you're setting me up for if he says no, you're thinking
I've watched
have
him
my
say no
feelings
to
hurt.
a lot of people.
That's fine.
People that'll be in Washington, he's like, they can't come to my fish room. I'm like, whoa, okay,
But I will never know if he's not asked. If I,
sure.
so there
He
you
might
go.
be watching right now. He's usually trolling
He
around
may
somewhere.
be. If he is, Dean, I admire what you're doing, and I'd love to have you as a guest. I know you're not going to fly to Virginia, but I would love to have you on as a guest remotely on the live stream. I think it'd be awesome. Talk all about angel breeding. You can talk all you want. Natalie O'Malley with the $5 says, my Julie Cory cats are not doing well in my planted tank with my Molly Fry. Any advice? Not doing well is pretty broad.
Mm-hmm.
But she paid $5 for that, so I need an answer.
I can answer it. So in general, the first thing you're going to see is you have a hard water fish being mollies. We talked about them a little earlier, wanting lots of minerals in the water. And then Julie Cory is typically a softer water fish. So without having more information, I have to play on what I was given. And that would be, if the mollies are thriving and having babies, that makes me think hard water, a lot of minerals, maybe adversely affecting the Julie Corys. But always check water parameters. Whenever you're having fish problems, look at water parameters. Obviously, make sure there's not elevated nitrates or nitrite or ammonia. And then look at pH and hardness. If all of those are in line, start looking at temperature, look at how bright the lights are, look at bullying, make sure they don't have like a mouth infection. Are they getting fed? A lot of times you can be feeding the tank and everything's eating above, but there's nothing down for them. So you kind of have to starting from easiest things to knock out. Oh, pH is good, this is good, this is good. Keep going down a list of like, well, what else? What else could it be? And usually you don't have to go too far down the list before you go, oh, I was being dumb. It was this. But we can't know that without more information. That's what makes this the hardest job in the world of, here's a one-liner, need to ask you 14 questions and can't. So,
Well, and here's another one. I'm not even going to put the camera on me because it's a quick one. Sam Malone, advice on balancing a planted tank nutrients / light. And oh, by the way, before you get to that, Dean did respond in the chat. And his exact words were, let me find it again. Here it is. KG Tropicals, only if Lisa is there too.
see?
I know what sells on this channel. Hey, my friend, it can be just you and her.
Yeah. He's got a brand to protect. 4,000 subscribers. He doesn't want to see a failure.
I
So,
understand it.
Yeah.
So you want to come on here, you can stay in Seattle. Unless you want to come here, we'd be happy to have you. But you stay in Seattle. We'll hook up through Skype, and it could just be you and Lisa. I'll go to bed. No problem. Although I would love to be on here and ask you the questions. But Jason, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead with the.
Yes. Balancing a planet tank. The quick and dirty of it is focus on one of the two. So you have two parameters there. You have nutrients and you have light. If you're changing both of them, trying to get them right, you'll never get them right. So it's kind of like you taste the food you've made and you go, it's not right. I'll add salt and pepper. And then you taste the food and you go, it's not right. I'll add salt and pepper. And so you're never going to get to where you need to go. But if you go, okay, I tasted it. I'm going to change one thing. I'm going to change the salt. Ooh, it got saltier. If that's not good, then you know, okay, less salt. And if salt is nutrients and the lighting's constant, go, okay, I need to add less nutrients to start balancing this. And so the easiest way I recommend is get your light on a timer. If it's got an app, that's fine too. But make that be, let's say, 10 hours just every day. That's the constant. Now you can start testing by the week and go, okay, 7 days later, how much nutrients are there? 7 days after that, how many nutrients are there? And how much fertilizer am I putting in? If it's going upwards in that, you know you're putting too much in. If it's going down, you might not be putting enough in. If it's sitting at zero the whole time, there was never enough to begin with anyway. So lighting constant. If you're using something like Easy Green, nitrates about 20 parts per million from the Easy Green, that'll get you mostly where you need to go. From there, it's a lot of tweaking, and unfortunately, it's an almost impossible job because the plants are always growing. That means they'll be eating more. So if you have a kid and they eat a cup of mac and cheese, well, when they're 20 and they just got done playing a sport, they eat more than just a cup of mac and cheese at that point. They're much hungrier. So as your plants grow, you have to adjust as well. But the lighting will always be that constant. So use that as your constant and move fertilizers around as needed.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Technically, we've only got about 9 minutes left, but I did
Lightning round.
tell Rack, I didn't know what was
I
going to happen.
used to do lightning rounds when I had to lead into other people. When I did super chats, we would do lightning rounds, and I would try to do them as fast as possible.
Well, the good thing about it is Jason C., Daryl Shields, Doc McStuffins, Jacob Richardson, and Chattanooga Ed, my friend Ed. I'll see him next week too.
Got a rad Mabu puffer fish costume.
And he's got an awesome red goatee. It's awesome. Chiefs fan, congratulations. All became members tonight, and
Nice.
it was immediately after you did your little spiel
Got
about
'em.
members on my channel. Thank you for that. Fish Tank Barn, $5 again. Big Fish Deal Maryland Crustacean Dinner Fund. I don't eat fish, but will dine on some crustaceans. I don't eat fish or crustaceans. When I saw your community post about eating live discus,
They weren't live when I ate them.
well, I know I meant
They were deep fried, actually.
I questioned our friendship at that point. I said, I don't think I can be friends with that guy anymore.
They were already dead. We
I know-
didn't take living ones and kill them. They had died from.
And I didn't mean for it to sound that way, but you were eating discus, and I said, "How dare you?"
Those posts got people to really hate each other on Facebook and YouTube. Because there were people like, what does it taste like? And they'd be like, you're a horrible animal. And they were just fighting back and forth. And we had to shut down lots of them. And it was not the reaction. Because I even tried to preface it with these had already passed away. We had them cooked. It was the novelty of it, blah, blah, blah. We didn't just go catch them in the wild and we're going to eat these things. Now, we did do that with piranha. We did catch piranha, and that's a normal food fish. And the crew ate that almost every night. They would catch piranha off the boat while we were out fishing, and they would eat a lot of piranha because it tasted good, and I enjoyed it too. But those ones, they had already died of, I don't know why they died, but they'd already died, and some of them I think were actually purchased from one of the wholesalers, and so they had freshly died. Their stomachs and gills were harvested for the person running parasite studies that was on the boat. And so then we had fish that were left that normally what would happen is you would throw them back into the river so they could be consumed. What we did, we deep fried them. We ate the little bit of meat they had, and then you threw them off the back of the boat. And what people don't know, and we never, we're really bad at our jobs because we're kind of there on vacation / supposed to be filming, but when you're eating dinner, you've already been filming all day and you're dead tired and you're half naked and you're just like, ugh. But when you would throw the discus body or whatever leftover food, rice, everything out the back of the boat, and you're third story up, right? The amount of fish that would just swarm. And if you ate at lunch, you got to see it, but at night it was already dark because it set pretty early. But the amount of fish, you're just like, wow, there are 1 billion fish in this river. Yeah.
I just feel like if I was to cook and eat a discus, I wouldn't, because I don't like fish. I mean, I don't like the taste of fish.
Yeah.
I would feel like I'm eating one of my chihuahuas.
For sure. And
It's like a pet. I'm eating a pet. I'm eating somebody's pet. I'm not saying
I
you're
don't
a
know
bad
that I would have
person,
done
but
it the second night, but it was the novelty of are you really it's already they already cooked it because they were going to eat it if we didn't. So then it was oh, it's on the plate. Yes, I'm going to try it because you don't get that option.
I'm not saying you did the wrong thing. I don't have a problem with what you did. What I'm saying is I couldn't do it
Yeah.
because I don't like the taste of fish, not because of anything else. Okay. Oh, good grief. We got to blast through these. Shelly, thank you for the $5. Corey, what is the best way to get a Monte Carlo started in fluorite substrate? 10 words or less.
Plant the pot all the way down so it's just the Monte Carlo sticking out. Leave it in the pot. Let it grow. When it's done growing, cut the pot back out. If you cut it up and try to plant it yourself, the roots are only that big and they end up floating. So plant the whole pot, have good light, walk away, come back, cut it out when it's done.
There you go. Beautiful. Kaler's Aquatics with the $10 cheerleader. No text,
Nice.
just the cheerleader sticker. I love
That's a
it.
quick one.
I love that. Chattanooga Ed decided not only to just become a member, but also super chat $10. Nobody puts Lisa in the corner. I love that. Jen's woodworking and things. $2 woodworking, special place in my heart. Got my first order. Plants are amazing. Thanks, Corey.
Sweet.
I'm not saying this because this guy's my friend and he's helping me and he's sitting here. We've never had any problems with any plants that have come from Aquarium Co-op. It's just...
I can honestly say I know I have the best plants because I focus a lot of my week, every week, dedicating to make sure we have the best plant process. And so much so we started worrying about supply issues long ago about heat packs and liners with the disruption of possibly out of China. We're going to be fine. We ordered way more than we needed to, which worked out great and bought us this extra time here. But yeah, we really pride ourselves. And not that a plant, it's like selling fish. Not that you're never going to have a fish that's going to die, but you want to have the best survivability rate out of anyone. And I truly believe we do. So we try really hard, and that's why I take pride in it.
Henry Chavez with the $100 pesos, 100 pesos.
Dang.
How much time should I leave my Zis filters in my established 40-gallon tank until they're cycled? And is it safe to leave them as the sole biofiltration? The tank currently has sponge filters plus a Fluval 406, but that's not all. Another 100 pesos from the same guy. Also, Corey, in one of your past streams, this is probably two separate questions, but you showed some fish books that you really liked, but I can't find them again. Do you remember which ones? I think one was about fish diseases.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of that book, but it is sitting on my shelf. This is a horrible answer because it's like the best way in which I actually think I could show you those books is like remind me in the next live stream, hope I see it, or super chat, which I hate telling people, spend some money and then I'll see it.
You don't take super chats
Well,
anymore.
they're currently enabled because I enabled them for the last live stream, and I
Okay.
might forget to disable them. But try and maybe Candy will see it in the chat, and then I'll go, oh, let me grab those books because I don't have them memorized. I know it's a blue book with white writing, and I could almost draw it. And then the other question he had was about
Establishing the Zis filter.
yes, I with a sponge filter or something like that, I recommend 7 to 10 days. But my honest answer is there a rush? Like, are you waiting to set up the next aquarium or something like that? I would give it as long as you could. If you have a month, great, do a month. If you only have those 10 days, like a Zis filter takes longer to cycle than a sponge filter because it's a hardier bacteria. But in general, with the Zis filters, as they get more established, the buoyancy, so it's a neutral buoyancy, you should be able to turn the air down and still get the same amount of flow. So at the beginning, a lot of air to get them going. And as they get neutrally buoyant from the weight of the bacteria, then you can turn the air down. When you notice that, probably an okay time to start moving it.
Beautiful. Sand Creek Aquatics with the $2. Here you go. That was the text.
Booyah.
Chad Krotz with the $9.99. Mods are on their A game tonight. I haven't seen
Ooh,
a lot of that, but
someone trolling.
Dorcula's a mod, so
Yeah.
she ain't putting up with no nonsense when her husband's on here. Steenfod Aquatics, poop emoji.
Nice. Par for the course.
Expect nothing less from
Yeah.
that man. Sand Creek Aquatics again, $2. Mistakes, we all have them. Yes, we do. Ginger Graves with the $10. Corey, the Co-op's little Nano US air pump is a champ.
Nice.
Lost power for 18 hours. I had airline from the Nano pump teed a couple times to 4
Dang.
tanks. 4 tanks, and it worked. Keep those air stones running. Well done, my friend.
They're getting a little bit better too. We're bringing in the new power adapters. We upgraded that. We actually work on making products even better, even when
You have
When
my
we get the
address,
choice.
right? You have my address, right?
I do. Yes. Yeah.
Robert Egan with the $10. Today I discovered that one of my peacocks is carrying babies in her mouth. She's in a 160-gallon with lots of scaping. How can I help to save those babies? You wanted to talk about African cichlids.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you have it.
So there's 2 options. One, let her spit in the tank, and that would be her releasing the fry. If you have a big stone pile or something where adult fish can't get to, and she's smart enough to go release there, which normally they are, that's a good spot. But if you have filtration without sponges on the intakes, long term they're probably like, it's time for me to go find food, and then no, I'm gone. So in a big tank like that, it's usually pretty hard to catch fish. You might have a chance if you're doing a water change. You got the level. If you can get the level down to like, if you can buy a tall net that's like 10 or 11 inches tall, drain the water level to there, you can usually wrangle them into a corner. If you can do that, watch any of the videos that are online. Mine, you probably have one on how to open the mouth of a fish and get the babies out. From there, you can artificially raise them, and you'll get like, wow, all of them lived. Now I have oh, I've got 42 peacocks I'm raising. I need another tank. I got a problem on my hands. But those are the two ways to do it. And in general, I suppose you could catch just the female and let her spit in her own tank and then remove her, but there is a chance that she will re-eat them. So I typically would just milk the fry from her mouth, put her right back in so she doesn't lose her place in the pecking order as well, because you can run into that aggression issue long term, but that gets into a little bit more. So,
Yeah, the very first time I ever had a spawning of peacocks was in a community tank. And I had like, you said 42. There was 42 babies. I'm not kidding you. She can tell you it was 42. And they all, I had a vertical piece of slate in the back, like it was an angel tank.
yeah.
And they were all behind that slate. There was literally like a 3/8 of an inch little gap behind that slate. And all of those fry were back there. And then I think it was like a month and a half later, I found 2 alive and very, very pale in the canister filter
Yep.
when I went to do maintenance on the canister filter. So, but
Learn
yeah,
from our mistakes.
I had no idea.
Well, I know, but that's how we know that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I found him in there. That's how I know.
If you just to add what Corey said, because I was the African cichlid breeder.
Yeah.
If you want to guarantee the babies, I agree with you said milking. I call stripping
yeah.
the females. I do have a video on that, and for the longest time, it was the most watched video on my channel until like 6 years ago. But anyway, I have a video on that. Mark Bolton at the African Cichlid Hub has a really good video on that. That was the one that I watched when I wanted to learn how to do that. So yeah, lots of channels have done that. You're going to yell at me after the stream for sending people off of my channel, and I get it.
No.
I deserve it.
As long as you're helping people, people will come back to you to get the help.
I certainly hope so. But yeah, it's actually a cool thing to do when you strip the female. I don't know. It's weird. You have that little attachment to the female. You feel like an attachment to her. Because if you think about it, you are helping her by getting them out of there so she can eat.
My wife came up with the perfect thing to pry their mouth open with, and it's a bobby pin that has the rubber ends on it. You think Q-tip, you think toothpick, you think all these things, and I was like, I need something, and that is the perfect thing because they can move their mouth. You don't want to poke through it or anything like that, and the plastic ends on that little bobby pin work really good.
The only thing neither one of us have mentioned, though, is if you do strip them too early and they're just eggs, you are going to have a way to move those eggs. So look up Egg Tumbler, my second most watched video on my channel, which was a total ripoff of another video that somebody else did. I just copied the design and made my own video. But I used to have, if you would imagine, this cup that used to have Five Guys fries in it, which are so delicious. We had the egg tumblers that were made from the tube of a sponge filter.
Sure, yeah.
I would just order those off of Gemco
yeah.
with the 2 caps. In fact, if you go to the Gemco website right now, it literally says KG Tropicals egg tumbler. They never asked my permission for that, but I would take that that tube with the cap on the bottom and the pantyhose on the bottom to keep the eggs, and I would just do this with the female. I would take the tube and open her mouth up, and she would drop the eggs in there and put it right back in. That was a really efficient way of doing it. The eggs go straight into the tumbler.
Yeah.
I'm never transporting them. Done. It's a beautiful thing. The good old days. That's right. We had a tank. It was a 33 long with like 18 egg tumblers going across the front
Dang.
of it. It was amazing to see.
Label them.
Yep. Write it on the glass. These are Eureka Reds. These are German Reds. Those were the days. It was a beautiful thing. Seamus Hunter. All
I
right.
think that's from Metroid or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Sounds weird. All right, lads. Just got into turtles/fish since January. Bought 2 turtles for my niece. 3 months of YouTube. I'm an expert now. Aren't we all?
About right.
Just wanted to say thanks to my 2 favorite YouTubers. P.S. Lisa is fair hot. Yes, she is. She definitely is. I'm a lucky guy. Lady Aquatics with the $10 just because you both are wonderful. She paid me money because you're wonderful. I love that.
I need to get that deal.
What are you doing next week?
Yeah.
Lioness Forepaws with the $2. No text. Don C, $25. Wow,
Ooh.
big spender tonight. Any tips on switching to a new canister filter without destroying my bacteria? We're already 5 minutes over. You're on overtime now, but I still want to give you the respect of answering the questions, but I'm just going to need you to do it kind of quick. If you could.
I can do it quick. You shut up. All you got to do, here's my suggestion. Get a 5-gallon bucket. We all should have one of those. Open up your current canister filter. Swish all the media around in water from your tank. Take that media, put it into the new canister filter, fill it up with clean water from the tank, plug it in, you're good to go. You've just moved over 80 to 90% of the bacteria that was in that canister filter into that one. Now, there's a ton of bacteria all around your tank. You're probably going to be good. If you needed to have both of them up and running, just take half the media. Bacteria doubles every 24 hours, lighten the load, pretty easy going. Just that quick.
Oh, okay. Lisa just sent me a message.
Mm.
It wasn't weird. Don't worry. Don't be uncomfortable. Multi-tank addiction with the $5. Our friend Chris, I was just on his live stream last week. I have found that this is another YouTube question. My live streams do better than my edited videos. Do you have any recommendations for somebody in that situation? Now, let me tell you something about this, because I don't know if you've watched his live streams or not. He puts a lot of effort into doing things differently than even you or I do. You and I are, I mean, I have her, but it's just basically talking head, where with he's got a lot of stuff and not busy, but he's doing a lot of things that other YouTubers aren't doing. Mm-hmm. He takes live phone calls and stuff like that. So that's probably why his streams are doing as good as they are. But go ahead with that. I'm sorry.
My general rule is, what is it in a live stream that you can do that you couldn't do better with preparation and editing? So let's say you tell me, well, I get a lot of views on my live stream, but not on my videos. It shows me that your unscripted content and all of that is performing better than something you're trying hard at. So you're probably doing this part wrong. So I believe you could take a live stream and edit it down and take out the bad parts, and it becomes a better product than when it was live. Now, there is some extreme things like everyone's watching the Super Bowl to see if there's a mishap, right? It's something that you would never get to see again. But we don't really have that suspense in our niche. So for the most part, it's like you may be putting disproportional effort. You might have designed a better show to be that, and it's getting better views just because it's a better show than what's going on that you're doing there. So I would look at the formatting and that type of stuff and go, okay, well, do people only want longer format? Maybe your videos are 10 minutes and your live streams are an hour. Maybe it is that call-in thing. But if someone's calling in, you're holding it up right here, isn't it strictly better just to get really good audio from people?
That's not how he's doing it, though. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's actually got a system that he uses for the calls and stuff. It sounds good.
Yeah.
I called in on it one time.
So I still think that being able to record and edit things and make sure there's no hiccups should perform better, and you get to launch it at a better time. Most times being live is not as good as going, oh, this is the optimal release time. And so not every market will be the same way, but I've tested a lot of these things a lot of times on multiple channels with multiple creators. And that's what I would look at is like, what is it about being live that you can't recreate there? What's the magic missing piece here? And, you know, if you, what you don't want is you don't want it to be everyone's waiting for you just to make a mistake. Like we're watching for, you know, it's like
train wreck.
It's like looking for the accident, right? You can't look away. You don't want it to be that. So you want it to, they come back and they know every Sunday morning, every Monday morning, whatever it is, another good quality video has come out from Multi-Tank Addiction, and I need to set aside my Monday mornings, or I'm at work, my lunchtime, I watch Multi-Tank Addiction and eat my lunch. So you're missing that part. And it could just be release times. There's so many factors, but look to know that something is missing from one and you're doing something right in the other. And if you can put those together, usually you get a product that's better than both of them.
Coming from the guy who has the biggest live stream in all of the FishTube community and gets the most views, you and Joey are pretty much neck and neck as far as views. So take what this man says as the YouTube Bible. I'm not saying that because he's sitting right in front of me. Steamfod Aquatics became a member tonight.
Nice. About time.
Which is very nice of him. Yes, it's about time. Jeez. I've been a member to you a whole month now. Finally. Anyway, I love Bob. Aquariums maintained by Andy with the $2. Thank you, guys. That's all it was. Just thank you. Otter Creek Aquatics, haven't seen that name in a while. Moving the fish room to the garage, and I can't decide on cement block stands or build all with wood. Corey, how much more room do cement blocks take up? I've never done the cement block thing, but I know you have.
So not a lot more in that you can get slender cement blocks that are 6 inches wide, and a 2x4, the way you're going to use them typically are 4 inches wide. Well, 3.5 technically, but the ease of use. So when I built my store, I knew exactly what I needed, and it made sense to build it in a rigid style out of wood. Most people like Zenzo and other people, they build a fish room, then they get some more tanks, they add on to it, they build some more, they add on to it, and they end up with this mishmash of stuff. When we redid his fish room, we didn't have to rebuild a stand. We went and bought 6 cinder blocks and all of a sudden added another tank, got something up in height, and it's something that you can easily do. It's raining outside. It's Saturday. I'm going to rebuild this part of my fish room. Done. Do it in the middle of the night. You don't have to worry about waking up neighbors. I really like cinder blocks for the modular part of it, and I find most of us are tinkerers that want a fish room. We're always wanting to build and do stuff, so I recommend that.
Well, and YouTubers are always like, when you're done, well, now what do? I got to redo it. I got to do this over again. I got to move this over there. You're always going to be moving stuff in the cinder blocks. I mean, I don't think it's mean to say I don't think the cinder block looks good. It looks as good
No, it
as a
doesn't.
nice wooden tank.
Yeah.
But you know what? You can put some little fabric over it or something. You'll be all right. But
I mean, a truck doesn't look as good as a sports car, but a truck is very versatile. A sports car does one thing. Like that wooden stand does one thing, what you designed it to do, and that's it. Can't change out of that.
we had our TV on an aquarium stand for a long time.
I mean, that can be done. I've put aquariums on TV stands as well. I've gone the opposite way.
Well, there you go, right there. I mean, that's not an aquarium stand. I don't even know what. I work on furniture for a living. I don't know what kind of furniture.
And
that is.
it is going into a garage fish room. If you were saying, should I put this in my living room? I'd be like, let's go with the wood.
Right.
But this is a very utilitarian thing, I think, when it's in a garage.
My first instinct when I read that was, oh no, don't do it, because Otter Creek Aquatics is a YouTuber. You're going to be wanting to present this on YouTube, and I was just thinking, it's not going to look very good. You do the cinder blocks. But then I remembered Zenzo's, and Zenzo's fish room looks pretty daggone good. Well done, by the way.
Well,
it looked good
he
before you
He
did
painted
that.
everything black, and we gave him. I think the biggest thing we gave him was actually the motivation to take the room to the next step. Because a lot of people, you get stagnant and like, it just isn't as good as I thought it was going to be, and so you kind of just let it linger where it is. Of like, yeah, it's functional. And then when we kind of did a little bit of upgrading, he then wanted like, well, I'm going to build the covers, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and it put him back in motion to make something he really enjoys. And now that his wife spends time in that room appreciating the tanks, I think that's a whole new passion for him to be like, I should keep this looking good. Not that it didn't look good before, but I should keep actively working on it. He set up, when we were there, we're not setting up any more tanks. I don't have time. He set up another tank on his own accord that that's a spoiler coming to his channel, but he's setting up another tank because he wants to now. He's back enjoying it. So I think that's important.
Big change like that is an amazing refresher to re-engage or reignite that spark.
Yes.
And there's no doubt that the spouse coming and getting involved is a game changer. I mean, good for you, Zenzo. Why is my dog up there squeaking like a...
Says you're running late.
Lord, he's ready to get
Rack sent me a text message.
Aquarium conversations with the $2. This could go a while. Just got a 65-gallon. Any stocking ideas? I'm going to give you 2 fish. That's it.
2 fish.
2 fish for a 65-gallon.
All right. Trio of blood parrots, or
I love what you just said.
so I'm going to go with big fish either way. So a trio of blood parrots or a trio, male and 2 female, of Jurapari earth-eating cichlids.
Wow.
You can fill in with some tetras and stuff too, but one of those 2 is the staple main fish.
Some of the blood parrots that are coming out now with all the different colors and stuff are unbelievable. Those are some cool looking fish. I'm so glad you said that, because so many people dump on them fish, and I love blood parrots.
They're the perfect fish for the right person that wants to keep one in the right tank size. Like, it doesn't make sense to, do a 10-gallon or your 180-gallon probably. But when you get to some of these 65, like 3 foot by 18, like that tank was made for these blood parrots. Like, blood parrots were kind of made for that tank.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I love that. Jerry Forgash, $10. Thank you for all videos. I've learned so much. I am so glad that I found your YouTube. You and your wife are amazing. Thank you so much for everything. God bless. Could be both of us. I don't know who he was talking about there, but thank you.
He's talking about my wife. She's amazing.
Well, yeah, but mine's pretty daggone amazing too. And you're in the same room with her, so you better watch yourself. But I'm assuming that was to you because, you are the guest of honor tonight.
Of course.
Technically, he's the only one with a wife.
Oh, here we go.
Now you done it.
I'm in trouble now. Thanks a lot, Jerry.
$10 towards the wedding.
Okay, Crockett Princess. I have 2 angelfish, 5 black skirt tetras, a yo-yo loach, and 2 red tail sharks in a 38-gallon. Crowded. Can you add another fish? If so, what one would you suggest?
More yo-yo loaches.
Because they're just so.
There's just
tiny.
one. It wants friends.
Okay, there you go.
So I would bump it to like 3, and you won't necessarily lose out on more space, if you will. Like by calming that fish down, even though you're adding more bio load, you're probably making the situation better. So it's kind of like, oh man, this house is full of people and we don't really have room, but it's like, oh, my mom's moving in, she's gonna cook for us all. Like that's actually okay. It got better, right? Like that's kind of a better thing going on instead of just like, well, another random person. Like we don't have room for that. This is that very specific. That fish wants some friends. Getting it a couple more buddies actually will calm that thing down and probably make it, not that it's necessarily out of control now, but it wants some friends.
There you go. Janet Margalowski became a new member. Welcome to the team. Shelly Damarist with the $2. Thank you. I love both of y'all's channel. I love when people type the word y'all. It just means so much to me. That's what we say here in King George. We say y'all. Alan Colton with $20. No text.
Dang. Baller status.
Here is my $20. I am a high roller, and it's yours now. That's a beautiful thing. Thank you, Alan. Roy S. A Fahaka named Worcestershire in a 180-gallon tank.
Yeah, Worcestershire.
It's still a little guy, 5 inches. What is your opinion on adding a firetail eel?
So I've seen it done because one of my employees used to do it. I myself, when I've mixed eels with puffers, the one time I did it ended badly. Not that the puffer intentionally hurt it, but they both went for the same shrimp, and basically the puffer ended up taking a big old bite out of the eel. It didn't kill it right away, but it ended up dying because I couldn't stop the infection a few days later. So in general, with bottom-dwelling fish and puffers, I think it's only a matter of time until one gets hurt. Well, not one, but the non-puffer gets hurt on accident. So I've seen it happen with Corydoras too. So I've tried a lot of things. Trust me, I want a lot of bottom dwellers. It just never works out with these big puffers long term over the course of a couple of years.
I get asked so much, when are you going to get a puffer? And I'm like, at this point, I would so be copying everybody else. Because
show us all up and get a cross river puffer.
Oh, we'll have to talk about that afterwards because I've never even seen that before. Your wife is in big trouble because she just sent a super chat.
Oh, no.
And what she said is unacceptable.
Uh-oh.
But let me get through the other ones here first. Sand Creek Aquatics with just a big old thumbs up and the $2. Thank you so much. Cajun Aquatics with the $5. Want to set up a crayfish tank? Any advice on decor and care? I got to mention something real quick because I got hit up by Chris Lukop, our friend. He wants to go to West Virginia. He thought that's where I lived. He's like, it's in your state. To search for these blue crayfish. And he's like, do you want to go? I said, please sign me up. Let me know when. So that'd be really cool. But go ahead. I'm not a crayfish guy, so I can't even add to that.
Well, I recommend going with them because it's super fun. But otherwise...
Are they illegal in Washington?
They are. But the way to take care of them is buy pieces of PVC like 1 inch or whatever. Get different sizes and cut them down to like 6-inch lengths, and then silicone them together, then rub silicone on the outside, then roll them in your gravel. Now you have these super cool caves that can sit down right on the gravel, allows them lots of things to climb on and climb into. Obviously if you have a crayfish that's already this big, don't buy it a tube this big. Like you're going to want like a 2-inch. The thing to know is like ABS black pipe that you could get from Home Depot. The straight lengths floats, and the fittings, like an elbow or something, sink. So those could be really easy. You could be like, oh, I bought a 2-inch elbow, and now I have a rad cave that's already black, and it just sits behind this decoration.
Beautiful.
There you go. Or buy everything on my website. Either way.
That's the best advice you could get all night. Connor Bixby became a Fry member, the second level. Bob was the bottom level, by the way. Just so you know.
That went without saying.
We're going to have to give him some crap
Yeah.
for that. And then came this young lady named Dorkula.
Oh.
$10 super chat with the text attached that says, goes towards the cat-themed wedding.
Nice.
And she laughed out loud when that happened, and I knew exactly what she was laughing at. So yeah, everybody's trying to get me in trouble tonight. Thank you so much, Katie. That's very sweet of you. I was talking
That pays for my dinner now.
yeah. Five Guys tonight. You know how expensive that is? So thank
Yeah.
you. Connor Bixby, would 3 full-grown dojo loaches? I'm not a loach guy.
Yeah.
I like coolie loaches. That's really all the experience with loaches. Is it dojo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Loaches be fine in 120 with a handful of goldfish, or should I stick with the one?
No, I think it'll work just fine. Yeah. 3 would be fine. I mean, that's a big tank. Now, a handful of goldfish is subjective. Like, your handful might be 26. My handful might be 7, right? But within reason, should totally work.
Handful's 5, isn't it?
I don't know. That's a question for a smarter crew.
All right. Couple
If you've
more
ever
here.
tried to take a handful of feeder goldfish, like it can be a lot, but it's also a slimy mess.
I'm gonna check on it.
Oh yeah, please do. He's being a crazy dog. The male Chihuahua does not. Well, he barks when he's mad, but when he cries, you hear him.
Yeah.
It's a squeak.
Help,
It's
Dad, help.
horrible, and it's just because he wants attention. The Zen Ginger with the $1.49. That's an Apple super chat there.
That is.
Thank you so much. And there's a cat sticker.
Nice.
Don C with the $15. Five Guys on me. Enjoy.
Dang.
I feel good now that we.
I
have,
think that was my first Five Guys, and it was legit really good.
It's an amazing
Actual
place.
foil. I was impressed.
If you're not familiar with Five Guys, Five Guys was started either here in Virginia or in Washington D.C. I don't know, but it was near here. But I'm pretty sure they're all across the country now, and their burgers are amazing. They're expensive. It is expensive. So thank you everybody who's contributed to that. But yeah, it's good, and it's directly across the street from the hotel you're staying in.
Oh no.
If you really liked it, you can have that again tomorrow. But no, we're doing something special tomorrow. I don't know what it is. I thought it was going to be tacos. I make good tacos. I deep fry soft shells.
All right. That makes them crispy, so they are tacos. I like it.
Just amazing. And the meat is ground beef with hot Italian sausage and salsa. And I mean, salsa mixed in. It's amazing. It's a shame
Like a
that
DIY chorizo.
my buddy gave me that recipe. It's not all that technical. It's three ingredients, but
Real culinary wizard.
yeah, I'm telling you, it's the only thing Lisa could say. Can you make the tacos? And I'll be like, yep, I'll run up there and make it. I mean, or I'll cook stuff on the grill. But yeah, I'm actually disappointed. I was excited to get your opinion on those because I know you're not somebody to BS somebody. If you didn't like it, you'd be like, wasn't really my thing. So, but I think you would have liked them, and I'm disappointed.
No, I'll never know.
You're just gonna have to come back. That'd be
If,
fun.
if there's another reason to be here, we already established I don't go for one reason.
My friendship and my companionship isn't enough. Lisa
That counts as 2.
Lisa isn't enough, and the dogs.
The dogs could do it.
The entire time I've been streaming tonight, I've had my feet on a dog, and it's been very uncomfortable. But last one was from Nadia SFX with the $2. I love your channels. That never.
Thank you very much.
I don't know about you. That never gets old. It just doesn't. It's a beautiful thing, and it's why we do it. I know that sounds cheesy. Sounds like Bill Murray on Zombieland. That's why we do it, but it's.
I like those movies.
Did you see part 2?
Yeah, in the theater even.
A lot of people dumped on that movie. I liked it because, hello, Zombieland was one of the best movies ever made. And
That's a tall order, but I do like those movies.
I'm exaggerating, but it's
No.
best zombie movie ever made. One of the best.
That might be true. I think that could be true.
I
I don't
could
like
go all
most.
night.
I don't like most zombie movies. So
I could go all night on that. Do you like Walking Dead?
the first 2 seasons, I think they lost me season. Here's what I know. Spoiler alert: if you haven't watched any of it, it's not going to matter because the show got horrible anyway. But I was I would say a die-hard fan until whatever the season was, where it was like the mayor of the town, like that guy, when he got overthrown and then he comes back, no one's coming back. You already lost a giant war. You wouldn't be like, well, now I can do it solo. I couldn't win with my giant army, but now I'm going to do it solo. From that point on, I lost all respect for the show. And so I let every season play out. I don't even know if it's over yet, but I have now kind of put it on the shelf for the next time I get the flu. I'll binge watch it all, but that's what you are to me now, of like, I've got nothing
Wow.
else I can do. How dare you? I can only watch Carl cry so many times.
Well, hey, don't be spoilery
He became a
now.
man and ran everything, I think. I don't know. I only see the previews, and the general guy would have never come back and attacked him or whatever. He
It was
threatened to or whatever.
The governor was
The
his
governor,
name, not the
that's his
mayor.
name,
Yeah,
yeah.
but here's my thing with The Walking Dead. I still watch it.
Is it still on?
It is. Season 10.
So I'm still waiting then. Because I just want to finish it all. I just want to get it like a Band-Aid. Come on, get over with.
The first 3 seasons were genius. They were amazing. The initial season, which was the first season, was only 6 episodes,
Right.
and then the second season with the farm, and then the third season with the prison was really good.
Because I loved Herschel, by the way.
I did
He
too.
made that show.
I did too. That actor passed away
Yeah.
last year. I agree. The governor storyline was my least favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Now I still watch it. I still enjoy it. It's a little out there.
It's probably
now.
part of your ritual, right?
That's it. See, I've committed 10 years of my life to this.
They broke the
television
ritual
show.
for me, and that's how I got to put it on the shelf. But it was a ritual thing for me, and that's has to do with all media like that. Once they break the ritual for you, all of a sudden you're like, I ain't got time for this.
This is gonna sound really weird. You know, there's a whole bunch of us. At one time there was 8 of us living under one roof. We would all watch that show as a family.
Which is a very powerful ritual. It could have been anything. The fact that all 8 of you were in the same room and watched the same thing was worth a lot to your family.
It's actually 7. It's 8 with the daughter-in-law, but back then it was 7. So I misspoke. It was 7 of
Sure.
us.
Oh,
But
well,
still-
now it's not important anymore. Like, eight was a magical number.
7 people in a room watching that. The season 3, when the big thing happened at the end, all the girls were bawling and crying, and
Yeah.
it was a big thing. It was a family event for us. Now I watch it by myself.
It was the can.
That's because they've lost all the other participants in the way they took the show, and I think that's how they lost me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I could be like, season 5 got amazing again, but I'll find that out when I have the flu sometime.
The problem with the show is it's the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's we're here, we're safe. Oh no,
Glenn,
we're not
why are you
safe.
going out on your own again? Now we'll have to save you.
Right.
Oh no.
We're not safe anymore. We have to move over here. Okay, now we're here. We're safe. Everything's good. No, we're not safe anymore. We have to move over here. And it's the same thing ever. But now the threat, there's always a threat from the outside. The
Sure.
threat is pretty intense in
aliens.
season 10. No.
We've graduated from zombies to aliens.
I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but
Yeah.
it's close to aliens because
Oh,
what it
good.
is, these people are called the Whisperers, and what they do is they kill a zombie, they remove the skin from that zombie, they make masks with those skins, they put them on, and they walk amongst the dead,
Smart.
kind of like Rick and Glenn did in the first season or the second season when they doused
Yeah, yeah,
themselves
yeah.
and all of that. It's kind of that. They blend in with the zombies. So it makes them very much of a threat because you don't know who's alive and who's a zombie. It's intense, but I agree it's not as good as it was. But I've got 3 figures over there about another show that I'd like to get your opinion on before we end this because we're learning a little bit about Corey McElroy here tonight. Breaking Bad. Are you in or are you out?
I'm definitely in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whew. I got nervous there for a second.
I'm super intrigued by white collar crime like that, and I believe that that's actually how a lot of stuff can go down. Like I think there's a lot more smart criminals than we think there are, and so, I mean, I think Jesse is an amazing actor, and obviously
Jesse.
he's a sidekick, right?
Oh. Okay. He's not. Well, his name's Aaron Paul, but you said Jesse. Yeah, Jesse
As a
Pinkman.
character
Okay. Yeah.
name. I
yeah.
never know their actual.
Okay. Get with it. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I've been the worst at that. My wife all the time. You know this. I'm like, I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me the character name, and I could be, and like, so there's a lot of great actors, but just the show in general, I thought was really well done, and I think I haven't seen the latest episode or latest season of Better Call Saul, and there should be a spinoff of Just Jesse's show now, I think, coming out as well, but.
Well, there's that movie. Did you watch the movie?
I don't think so. No.
It's called El Camino. It's all.
Oh, then no, I haven't seen that.
It takes place immediately after the events of the season or the series finale. You know, when everything happened. And Jesse drives off. Spoiler alert! And Jesse drives off in the El Camino. Well, this movie picks up at that moment, and it's basically him on the run. Really, really good, and it's a 2-hour watch. You know, it's an easy thing. It's on Netflix, created just for Netflix. Beautiful
I'll have to
thing.
watch it when I find time.
I love Better Call Saul because I love that character. In fact, I have a Saul Goodman figurine right there. I have a hard time watching that show and not comparing it to Breaking Bad, though. And when you compare it to Breaking Bad, it's not even close.
Sure, it's like not having a Reese's, so you eat a Snickers. It's just you make do with what you got.
I think Breaking Bad is the best television show that's ever been made. That's my personal opinion.
Oof. I think I have 2 shows that are higher in my mind.
I would like to hear what those are, please.
Sopranos, I really enjoyed, and The Wire.
Here's what's funny, and it's not because I know him. I don't know him that well. I kind of knew you were going to say that because people who like Breaking Bad also like The Wire, and they also like Sopranos. I agree. Sopranos, absolutely incredible. I loved it. Every single episode of it.
Ending was the best part.
I'm still talking about the ending. I love The Sopranos. I've watched The Sopranos, the entire series, 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
It's good treadmill, which obviously I'm not doing right now. You are, congratulations, but I'm not doing any of that right now. But it's a great show to watch on the treadmill. But Breaking Bad, to me, even though the show is very far-fetched and it's a little out there, it was the most. I haven't seen The Wire all the way through.
Oof.
But Sopranos, Breaking Bad to me just seemed the most realistic. As weird as that sounds, the premise of it, this guy, he did what he had to do to cover up, to protect his family.
Sure.
And then liked it and kind of morphed into this villain. I just loved that. I can see that happening in real life. And I don't know. It's Vince
I'm
Gilligan.
not sure if any of them are better than the other because it depends on where you're at in your life when you watch them.
There is nobody that loves mafia movies, mafia anything, mafia documentaries. I don't care what it is. There's nobody that loves it more than me. I am a Sopranos mark, but I like Breaking Bad just a little bit better. Just a little bit better than Sopranos. The Wire, I've tried to watch it like 4 times, and for some reason I haven't gotten past the first episode, like where I can't wait to watch the second episode.
I've had a couple people I've told to watch it, and they had the same problem. But once you're into it, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to watch it all. But it has a little bit of character development's got to go down,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I've never talked to somebody that said they didn't like that show, but why it hasn't.
I do know someone and they're like a person that like, I'm like, oh, I respect what you like. I'm like, I'm shocked you don't love that. Like wow, we usually have similar tastes, but yeah. And I think that there's, if we're going to get really nerdy into it, if you took Sopranos and released it now as a Netflix thing where you could binge watch it, I think that changes how like all of a sudden it's even better. Like, oh my God, you didn't have to wait 6 years of your life to watch this play. I don't know how many seasons it is, but if you could have like binge watched through a lot of that, because a lot of those cliffhangers and stuff really, it was almost painful to wait till the next Sunday night on
Or sometimes
HBO.
the next season.
Yeah. So, I think that, there's some advantages to Breaking Bad wasn't done that way, but they definitely put out a lot of episodes and everything.
You know what?
They learned
though?
a lot more by then.
You're 10 years younger than me, so you're much more used to the whole streaming thing. Her and I watched Breaking Bad as it was on TV. And you say what you want. It is the most difficult thing in the world, but it's also awesome to wait. Like, now I don't know anybody. I don't have any friends except for people on YouTube. So it's not like I have people to like, oh my God, did you see what Tony did? And oh, Big Pussy died. And I don't have that. It's a character on the show. Don't look at me that way. But that was the water cooler talk kind of thing. I enjoyed that. I liked that. And the anticipation of waiting for the next episode to come on is really cool. That's gone with the binging, but I would rather binge it all. I agree. Cause it's awesome to wait. HBO has a couple of series on right now that I really, really like, and they're still doing it that way. Once a week it comes on. And I don't have HBO on my TV, but I have their online service. And so every Sunday night, 9:00, I'm on it. Watchmen is something that you should watch.
There's a bunch of stuff that's in the like, I really got to start watching this pile, but at best 3 to 5. Well, no, that's not probably true. Probably 8 to 10 hours a week could potentially be video or like movies and that kind of stuff. Like there's not a lot of time left over for it. And so usually it's maybe an hour each night we'll watch. Like right now we're watching Dedicated Survivor and we're getting towards the end of it, but
Designated Survivor.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. I love Kiefer Sutherland.
yeah.
He will always be Jack Bauer to me, though. I mean,
Sure.
What a great character that was. I loved every single one of those. Well, I think the last season they did was kind of meh.
I never watched that much of it, so
I
I couldn't judge season to season.
It was like the first 3 or 4 seasons of that show. 24 is the show we're talking about. Absolutely amazing. All right. I want to get a couple of these last minute super chats and then we'll wrap things up here. I did miss one. Lisa texted me and made sure I saw this, and I want to apologize to Candy Ania. I hope I'm saying that right. With the $5, because of both of you guys' videos, I am about to get my first 10-gallon tank planted, of course.
Sweet.
That never gets old hearing that. Do you have people, and I have, so I know you have, people come up to you at these events and stuff and they say, I wasn't into fish at all, and then I saw your videos and now I have 5 fish tanks?
Yeah, and then I make it weird and I go, which video specifically? What were you watching on YouTube? And eventually
What
it
suggested
showed
it?
you
Yep.
a fish tank. Because if you weren't searching for a fish tank, because to me, I can't fathom not wanting a fish tank. Like, it's been such a portion of my life now where I'm like, I can't even sympathize. Like, who's a person that doesn't know fish tanks and then all of a sudden is like, I need a fish tank? I don't know how that process even happens because I'm so far removed from it now.
That's my question. Every time I've had that said to me, and I have had it a couple of times, it's always like, me? Like, I did that? What? It just blows my mind. And I agree. It's like, how did you even get to me? If you're watching videos about who knows what brought you to my channel? Like, thank you, YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would love to know, like, I was watching dog videos. Like, okay, that's the gateway. I still to this day have no idea what the gateway is between, now I'm watching aquarium co-op stuff.
We both have cute dogs, and you don't have cats, but we have cats.
Yeah,
A
I'm
lot of
smart.
people-
I don't have cats.
Well, I agree. Nothing. People talk about Reno all the time, and there's probably been people in the chat
Reno
tonight.
911.
Where's Reno? Corey got to meet Reno today. Okay, last few here. Nadia SFX, I don't know if I said that before, $2. Love your channels. I did say that. Jerry Forgash said that too. Welcome as a new team member. Lady Aquatics, part 2 of Zombieland is good. Walking Dead is not.
Burn.
Yeah, I enjoyed Zombieland 2. Obviously not as good as the first one, but it was good.
It's better the more butter's on the popcorn. That's all. I judge my movies like, this popcorn's a little dry. I like this movie.
Snowballs. Okay, Nadia SFX again. Wait, yep, didn't skip it. I'm getting a Pleco tattoo tomorrow.
Whoa.
Would you ever
dedication.
get a fish tattoo? If so, which fish? No brainer. I would absolutely get a silver arowana. No doubt on my arm. I've actually talked about it before.
Maybe like clown loaches or something, but I've never had a tattoo and
I was
don't
about to say,
plan
you
on
don't
it.
even have one. They
Yeah.
hurt. Do you like needles? Or nobody likes them, but do you have a problem with needles?
I don't necessarily have a problem with needles, but I'm not exactly like, I don't enjoy pain, but I'm sure I could. Well, I'm not sure, but I think I could get one. And I'd be like, wow, that kind of sucks. I don't think I'd be one of those people like, no, I'm addicted to getting the tattoos because I like the feeling. I don't think I'm ever going to be that person. I'd be like, no.
Anybody that tells you tattoos don't hurt is lying to you. They hurt like a son of a bitch. I mean, mine hurt real bad. Okay. I'm starting to curse now, which means it's getting late. Esteban Nunez with $10. Great stream. Wants to pay us $10 just to say great stream. I love that.
They
Thank you
super
so
chat
much.
enough. We can buy another ticket someday.
Yeah, we're halfway to getting you back here next week. We'll have to come up with a topic for next week when you come back. I have a comment. Wow, this is going to be a question. Of course, it's going to take us forever. David LL with the $5. I have a comet goldfish, and he shrunk. Now that I have treated him, now it's been 2 weeks. How can I get him back in shape, eating like my other comets?
Wonder if he had a bunch of like internal parasites and then dewormed him type of deal.
Withered away kind of thing.
Yeah. The only thing really you can do is, maybe soak the food in like Vitacam or something, like super saturate with vitamins and fatty foods, but it's a time thing. There's no real fast way to bulk up a fish. And that's what the worst part is when a fish like in our store gets emaciated when it comes in. It takes weeks for us to put the weight back on. And so when we call wholesalers out and they're like, well, we don't feed a couple days before we ship. It's like, this damage wasn't done in 2 days. We're talking weeks of not getting fed here. Sometimes if it's a single fish, it's like, well, it must have been the runt. And other times they're like, well, it was 300 tetras. There's not 300 runts in a tank. Like that is a tank of fish, not getting enough food. So, but I think it's just feeding heavy and often and doing a lot of water changes without going so heavy you bloat them.
Well done. Same guy, David LL, with another $2. Fluval FX4, good for a 75-gallon with 4 comets.
Yeah, I would say that's a good investment, and I think that FX4 is a great size for the 75-gallon.
Agreed.
FX6 a little powerful for that.
I put one on my 75 upstairs.
Oh, I've done it too. I'm just saying, like the FX4 is like a match made in heaven. The FX6 is like, whoa, that's a bit much.
It is, and when
You
I
can
did,
throttle it down though.
I think the video has like over 100,000 views of that I did on that. But the title of the video was, "Is this overkill?" And the answer is yes. Even though it had, like 14.
At the time, the FX4 didn't exist, so it was still the right filter to buy, and you could dial it down. Now you've got an option; you could save some money and get something a little less beastly. And so that's the only reason I recommend it now is like there's something that fits that now. Before there was only 406, FX6, and it was missing that middle step, but now it's there.
Right. Do you have any inside information on a 7 series, like FX7?
Not that I know of.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I wish I did. Last two, and then we're going to cut this off. You can't convince me to stay. I mean, I still have to take you to the hotel.
That's right.
Taylor Kilduff with the $2. No text. Followed with Fishy Fun 57 with the Canadian $2. Also no text.
Woo, tough ones.
Just a beautiful way to end the night.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun. And we've gone 45 minutes over. I feel bad for Rack. Listen, there's 700 people still here watching this. Do me a favor. If somebody could, one of my mods, please put the link to Rack's stream in here.
The River Life.
The River Life. This is the sweetest man on YouTube. And I don't mean to sound weird when I say sweetest. This is an amazing human being. Go over, all of us, let's all go over there, 700 of us, and let's just beat the crap out of his stream. It'll be a lot of fun.
Better late than never.
That's right.
That should be the hashtag, better late than never.
That's perfect. Hashtag better late than never. Let's all get over there. And then let's show him some love. He's going to be on for 15 more minutes. Come on. Let's
It's going to go all the bang though.
Yeah. Let's all go over there. Let's get him like 300-400 viewers. Cause I know not everybody can go. I mean, I get it.
Everyone.
it would be amazing if we could all go over there.
It's only a 15-minute commitment to make this guy's month, year, something. Like, it'd be a lot.
It's
so.
true. And that would be awesome. Let him know how it feels to be me, because that's what happens when he sends people to mine. I get this huge flood and it's like, whoa. So
Pay it forward.
That's awesome. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you all so much for hanging out here. Thank you. This was fun. And I mean it. Next week, back on here.
Hopefully we'll see some people on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll both be there. It's Corey's event, but I'll be there just kind of following him
He's
around.
giving away all the food. I'm putting him to work.
That's fine. It's fine by me. No big deal. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It is the Potomac Valley Aquarium Society.
PVAS, yeah.
Look it up. I searched for it the other day. You'll find it.
It's on our Facebook as an event and all that kind of stuff. Like, if you're trying reasonably to find it, you'll find it.
Yep, it's not hiding from anybody. It's in Fairfax, Virginia. It's open to the public. It'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully they let me in there. I don't know. So we'll have to see. But yes, that is it. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Thank you again. And we'll see you next week. He's really not going to be here next week. It'll just be Lisa and I back to normal. So bye-bye.
Bye-bye.